for the angel of paradise. Tall white, tall white, tall white, tall white. Holographic projection, tall white physical encounters. Tall white, tall white, tall white, tall white.
Catastrophic disclosure. Catastrophic disclosure.
I think it's drones. 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 Drones.
Catastrophic disclosure. Catastrophic disclosure.
I think it's drones. 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 Garbage peddling, hoax promoting huckster.
Holographic projection, tall white physical encounters.
Garbage peddling, hoax promoting huckster.
That stands for the angel of paradise.
Bots have arrived. Bots have arrived.
Tall white, tall white, tall white, tall white.
I think it's drones. Drones.
Tall white, tall white, tall white, tall white.
Drones. Drones.
Tall white, tall white, tall white, tall white.
Truthseekers, seeking the truth. A truth so bold it's hard to hold. Truthseekers, truthseekers, yeah. Place the cash, place the cash.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. We are here tonight, and we will be exploring something that I've been calling the invasion of the UFO grifters. Now, it would appear that this is not really something new. After all, our research into things as far back as the early 50s contactee movement indicate that this is not a new phenomenon, but it seems to me at least to be incredibly increasing, maybe getting worse or better if you're one of the grifters, because the UFO money is just so good. In recent years, all over the world, really, it's not just the United States media, But worldwide media, really, it appears that the UFO invasion by the UFO grifters has occurred. And now we have things like News Nation, which is essentially masquerading as a news network, but they're covering UFOs nonstop. And not the good UFO stories, the stories peddled by garbage peddlers, people like Jeremy Corbell, who we detailed on last night's show. And by the way, that story, Jeremy Corbell's Jellyfish UFO story, is coming crashing down. And we're going to be detailing the ways in which it was crashing down. Apparently, if you're not aware, George Knapp let it out, Jeremy Corbell's mentor in how to sell fake stories, that he's so fond of pointing out. My mentor, George Knapp. My mentor, George Knapp. Yeah, somebody had to show you how to sell completely and totally fake stories and make loads of money. You got a great mentor for selling fake stories. Anyway, George Knapp let it slip on Twitter today that they had that video and the story for 2 years. And in that 2 years, I guess they did an intense amount of research and investigation into that story. Oh, wait, no, they didn't. Because Stephen Greenstreet of the New York Post in 45 minutes got more real facts about that story than they did in 2 years. And this also begs the question, why would they wait 2 years? They want disclosure, right? They want transparency. But they're sitting on United States military filmed UFO footage for 2 years? Or do they have a lot of stuff like this and they just wait for opportune times? Opportune times like, hey, we got a docuseries deal with TMZ and Tubi, and we can cash this United States taxpayer-funded video in for the maximum amount of money at this time. That's why they wait, in my opinion. This stuff is just comical to me at this point. These are disclosure advocates. But anyway, they got the entire story or most of it wrong. And we're going to be detailing that for you. We've got our special guest with us tonight, Steve Long. What can I tell you about Steve Long? He's an excellent researcher. He's got his eyes and ears all over the pulse of UFO and conspiracy land. And I thought I'd bring him here tonight so we can have a different perspective and maybe a different viewpoint into what exactly is going on out here in conspiracy land. And why do I feel like this is invasion of the UFO grifters? And by the way, I'm not the only one that feels that way. And also, I feel like the tide is starting to turn, and there's much more coming out now to confirm the skeptical side of things than there is to confirm the UFO grift side of things. Also, just a quick Grusch update, and maybe an I told you so, because, I just want to put it on the record right now. I've mentioned this a few times, but, I don't know that I have really communicated it thoroughly enough. But when you communicate views counter to the UFO cult narrative, you get attacked for it, doxxed for it, threatened, intimidated, harassed. So some time ago, I said, and I wrote this on Twitter today, I said that it's my personal belief, and I freely admit it's speculation, but it's informed speculation based on available evidence. I believe that Mr. David Grusch is getting manipulated and taken advantage of by UFO grifters that have done this before. And I was viciously attacked for that in various ways that I don't really need to detail here. But, and I hate to say I told you so, but I will. So the next time that you want to be abusive towards me and tell me how wrong I am, maybe I'll just send you this clip. And maybe, just maybe, you should realize that some of these on the pedestal heroes of yours really aren't heroes. They're despicable scumbag individuals. And here's the proof, or at least one piece of proof. And by the way, we have an exclusive interview coming up with somebody that knows the intimate details of how all of this UFO disclosure narrative is being orchestrated, planned, and how they manipulate people behind the scenes to get with their program. So today I wrote this on Twitter. Why is Christopher Mellon able to control what interviews Dave Grusch can give? I said a bunch of UFO grifters were manipulating and taking advantage of Dave Grusch. People said that can't be, and yet it is. And here's the first bit of proof of this. And by the way, we're going to have an exclusive interview with somebody that's going to bring more proof to bear that maybe, just maybe, the skeptical viewpoint on some of these characters, these scumbag characters in conspiracy land that get caught time and time again selling fake story after fake story, lying about things, manipulating people. Maybe, just maybe, that skeptical viewpoint is the correct starting point when dealing with these people. Dark journalist, who many in my audience are well aware of, he says this whole approach is a total disgrace to UFO disclosure. The idea that Intel agent Grusch is anointed by, quote, Wall Street bigwigs to reveal secrets is the height of CIA manipulation of the field. When I spoke to Grusch, he said he'd like to come on my show and talk about it, but he was too afraid of Christopher Mellon reprisals. Question: how can you take on global UFO secrecy if you're afraid of Christopher Mellon, Lou, and the whole corrupt DOD finance gang? Total counter intel op. So maybe, just maybe, I was right when I said that people are manipulating Dave Grusch. And maybe I'm right in my opinion that people are taking advantage of that man. And I'm going to try to keep that at the forefront of, what I talk about concerning him going forward. It's ridiculous that Christopher Mellon, who many have long said is the puppet master pulling all the strings. He was Tom DeLonge's puppet master, apparently. He was Lou Elizondo's puppet master. Well, apparently he's got a new puppet, and that's Dave Grusch. So, going forward, when people are abusive towards me simply for exercising an opinion, especially when that opinion is correct, I'm not going to take abuse from stupid people any longer. Okay, I get that you can have belief systems, but you can be respectful. If you come to me and say, Stephen, I respectfully disagree with your opinion on this particular subject, great. Okay, let's talk about it. Why do you disagree with me? That's fine. But these people coming at me with these endless nonsensical attacks, or, hey, let's attack my physical disability for 2 hours straight on YouTube, like happened yesterday or the other day. I'm not going to take abuse from stupid people. My show here is a public benefit. And we have, an 8-year track record of getting stories factually accurate and correct. I'm not taking abuse for that, and I'm not apologizing for that. And if you don't like the facts and evidence that we show here and our proven track record of getting stories factually accurate, then go tune into one of the garbage peddlers. Don't come here and vent on me because your delusional fantasy world is coming crashing down. It should come crashing down. And if the fantasy world you live in is so fragile that I can pop that delusion bubble with a single story we present here, then maybe you should rethink your belief system, rethink your lives, right? So tonight we have a very special guest. He's been here before. He's here again at the request, apparently, of some of our audience members. I didn't think he was a very good guest, right? But people did, and no, I'm kidding. He's a veteran here. He's been here a few times. We're going to bring him in right now to talk about the invasion of the UFO grifters. Welcome, Steve Long.
Hey, Steve. How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you because I'm going a little crazy here by myself trying to figure things out. So I thought I'd bring you here to get another perspective. What did you think? Were you listening? What did you think of this? Dave Grusch is afraid to give interviews to certain people because he's afraid of reprisals from Christopher Mellon. That's some shit, ain't it? That's some shit right there, man. That's a big story, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be, could be. No, I think you're doing a pretty good job on your own, Steve, of kind of dissecting the narratives and trying to get some clarity to figure out what's going on. You've been doing it for quite a few years now, and you're one of the few skeptical shows that is left. You know, one of the few outlets that offers some skeptical research and appraisals of the situations. And you've outlasted a lot of people, and you've helped a lot of people along the way. And it's great to be here. And I
Yeah,
wasn't
I
even going to do
appreciate that.
this, but I do appreciate that. Apparently you had some listeners, and they had requested that I come back on, and I wanted to honor
Yeah,
that
I mean, you saw it
and
when you
come
come in
here.
the yeah, when you come in the live chat, people ask you when you're going to be on again, and then they email me when. So we want to give people what they want, and that's pretty interesting. I'm glad that you're
Yeah, it's great.
here. Let me know what did you think of the. Let's start with the jellyfish story because I got some things I could share about the jellyfish the invasion of the jellyfish UFOs. Uh, we talked a little bit off air today. I think I just sent you some of the updates. So apparently, according to George Knapp, they had the video and the story for 2 years. And the moment they broadcast it, within hours, the whole story is falling apart completely. So here were the trust me, bro claims that have all been blown to garbage now. Uh, Jeremy Corbell claimed that the object went underwater for 17 minutes. That's a completely and totally factually false statement about this particular event. So that one got, X'd out. Then it came out of the water and did 90-degree turns. That is a completely fake part of the story. That never happened. And of course, another one was it shot up into the sky. That's another part of the story that's probably blown out of the water. Footage was taken by an intelligence agency and buried. Well, it turns out, no, that's not the case at all. The object changes temperature. That was completely and totally factually inaccurate. And also, Jeremy Corbell specifically said that the object was filmed from a weapons platform. And it turns out it was filmed from an aerostat. And that's more or less been confirmed by multiple sources now. It was not filmed from a weapons platform. It was filmed from an aerostat, which I can show the audience in a moment what an aerostat is. But it's a surveillance platform. So what do you think of this jellyfish UFO story and how quickly it's falling apart here?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not surprised. This is the pattern, really. I mean, this is coming off the heels of their last release, which was the 29 Palms video, which ended up being flares, the V-shaped flares. But the same thing happened. You know, they claimed that they had this video for years and they had investigated it. And to the best of what
Some
they could tell,
investigation.
this was unexplainable.
Yeah, some investigation. And for those unaware, the last story that they peddled that was completely and totally fake, it was really just flares dropped during a military training exercise. And they had the exact date and location of this so-called UFO sighting. Within minutes, I think, of them broadcasting the story, people found the real truth of that story. It wasn't a giant triangle spaceship. It was flares dropped during a military exercise. And they could have found that out. But here's an important question. What is the motivation here? There's only really two possibilities when they keep getting caught. Either they are the laziest, dumbest UFO investigators on planet Earth, or they know that what it is. You know what I mean? Like they knew it was flares and they pushed it as something mysterious anyway. Which do you think it is? Do you think it's intentional that they're doing this, or they're just incompetent and lazy?
I mean, I don't think that they even bothered to find out what it was. I don't think that they would have cared if they did find out what it was, or if they had information, if they had found the information that other people have found within hours of them releasing these videos. If they had found that information, I don't think that they would have cared anyway. I think that they would have released it the same way that they did.
And do
That's
the lie
just
by
their
omission,
MO.
right? Just leave that out because it won't help sell the story, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're not here, like, they're not here to be transparent. Like, these people are pandering to an audience. They are doing something for entertainment, entertainment value. They have profit schemes behind these things. They have podcasts, and they have all kinds of friends and associates and acquaintances that are doing the same thing. So no, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the truth is behind it. But certainly, I just feel that they have these 2 videos, and they probably have a lot more that they've been sitting on for a couple of years now. I think somebody gave them a sizable dump of images and videos, and they're just going to release them every once in a while when one dies down. And it really doesn't matter, what happens as far as people debunking them. The people that believe and that want to support their cause and their narrative will be there to do that, and that's who they are pandering to. That's who they are recording and talking to. They don't really care about what the skeptics say. They can excuse that, and they can have their audience and their Twitter followers help negate that and excuse it, call people intelligence agents and disingenuous people and everything else, to just not address the actual evidence that we could discuss if we wanted to.
Yeah, and I just want to take a moment to I'm going to share my screen and just show the audience what an aerostat is, because apparently Jeremy Corbell said that this video, the Jellyfish UFO, was filmed from a weapons platform. This is not a weapons platform. This is a surveillance platform. It's common on military bases. They use these for OPSEC, or operational security. And this particular aerostat is, pardon me, I'm sorry, I forgot to do not disturb my phone. This particular aerostat that was at the base where this Jellyfish UFO video was filmed, has the MX-20 camera, which is the same camera that filmed the Baghdad video. And so Jeremy Corbell was completely and totally wrong. It wasn't a weapons platform. And I personally think that he said it was a weapons platform to make the story more dramatic. What do you think about this aspect of this fictitious part of the story?
Yeah, sure. I think that he's probably embellished a lot of things that he's claimed about this video and what it allegedly shows or depicts in its full and complete version. But I think a lot of that's just a hollow exaggeration and just kind of hyping the material, hyping the content, right? Like, these are content producers, right?
Yeah, and we've detailed here so many times before, that's how this all works. You overhype, but then you inevitably underdeliver. I just can't believe that so many parts of the story came crashing down so quickly, especially because, I don't know if you're aware of this, I want to get your thoughts on this. They filmed this Jellyfish UFO was filmed with MX-20 camera, which is the same camera system that was used to film the so-called Baghdad Phantom, and not Baghdad Phantom, I'm sorry. What was the round one, the sphere?
The Mosul Orb.
The Mosul Orb. He always gives them some kind of, melodramatic name. Anyway, we can tell from the video of the jellyfish that he released that somebody purposefully cropped the data out of some of the corners. They purposefully, in my opinion, it's not there. It's there in the Mosul Orb image and other images from MX-20 taken footage. But in this Jellyfish UFO, it is purposefully cut out of the corners, most of the data display. And it's my personal belief and speculation, I'll freely admit that, but it looks like they did that to prevent the debunking. And it also looks like they purposefully downgraded the quality of the video, or played it on a TV, then filmed it, which would downgrade it and made it smaller. It wasn't 4K. It wasn't raw files like Corbell claimed. It looks like a purposeful attempt to prevent people from being able to identify things or debunk this. Do you think that they go that far to manipulate the data to sell the story?
100%. And again, this isn't something that's new. We saw this happen with the videos that came out in 2017 through TTSA, right? The same thing happened.
Yeah.
information that could be there to help us identify certain features of what we're looking at that would help us identify, what we could be looking at have been removed. This is just more of the same. Possibly things like that may also be removed to help alleviate any type of responsibility when it comes to possibly releasing classified or damaging information. I think that also has probably it's a double-edged sword that probably
Yeah,
helps it.
no, I'm all for
It's purposeful.
redactions. I'm all for redactions when necessary. But when you purposefully manipulate your available data to sell a story, another great example I can think of this, Steve, is when he released this Boca, the pyramid spaceship, triangle spaceship video, he purposefully removed the audio. And if you get the original video, there's a person on the deck that's saying drone sighting. He says drone sighting. Why would you remove that guy saying drone sighting unless you were trying to sell? Drone sighting isn't going to sell, but pyramid spaceships might sell. There's this.
And again,
I'm
that's
really convinced they manipulate all the available data to create the illusion of a true story about aliens or extraordinary craft, and it's all manipulation to me.
Yeah, and again, that was done also in 2017. It's nothing that's new. It was done with the I believe it was the gimbal video, but one of those three. It had an audio that included someone saying, "Look at the SA." There's a whole fleet of them, and a guy said, "It's a drone, dude." But that was cut out during the initial release.
Yeah, convenient that they cut out whatever parts won't support the alien hypothesis to what the object is. It's better than convenient. It's like grift. Sometimes I worry though about talking about these things because I feel like the up and coming grifters are like taking notes. Like, oh, that's how you sell the fakes, like they're taking notes on how to do this. It's just ridiculous. And on this jellyfish UFO, I really think that it's going to be identified as something very prosaic. I'm following over on Debunk, and by the way, shout out to Mick West and Debunk because those guys are doing an amazing job. They found in the past 24 hours, Steve, they found the base where the object was filmed. They figured out the latitude and longitude of where it was filmed from. They figured out that it was a tethered aerostat with an MX-20 that likely or most likely filmed the footage. Then they got another source to confirm it was the aerostat that filmed this, not a weapons platform, and that their latitude and longitude information was correct. That's where it was filmed from. And they did this all in like 24 hours. This group of, enthusiasts and debunkers along with Mick West. They're doing it. Don't you think that's amazing? It's like they're like internet sleuthing and figuring this all out. And if a bunch of guys on a forum can do this in 24 hours, why can't Corbell do it in 2 years? And then also, this means that this is the second time we know for sure that they had UFO videos that they sat on for 2 years. And it appears that they sat on them until they could make the most profit possible from that. Let's call it an asset, right? It's amazing.
Yes, and I will absolutely agree and piggyback off of giving kudos to Mick West and Debunk and everybody that donates their energy and effort to trying to really solve these things through the scientific method and through verifiable means. I don't know. And again, you've listed particularly the great work that has been done to help identify parts of these videos and elements of them, of the images. I don't know if we have the ability to, at this time, to really solve what we're looking at. I think that we could probably come up with some, one or two good, plausible, mundane, so to speak, or prosaic explanations as we've seen happen. And that might just be as close as we get without having access to, better information or, maybe even some of these things, the Mazel orb was really interesting. Some of these things might just be certain like balloons that we're just not going to be told about, and even if they do know what they are, they're just not going to tell us. So I think that we're probably getting as close as we can, and I certainly am really excited and have been really interested to see all the fast progress that's been made on images like these. And it just shows the power of group. Can't think of the word, but social.
They're working together over there too. It seems
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and you know what? I haven't been on Metabunk. I just joined. I've been lurking on there, but I haven't really digested a lot of what they're doing over there. And I was impressed with like how orderly and teamwork they are. Like somebody said something kind of a snide comment about Mr. Corbell, and they were instantly corrected. Like we don't support any ad hominem. That's not going to help us here. You know what I mean? It was like they're so pro over there. They're like, no, I own the prize. Let's figure this out. Let's not get personal here. And I was kind of impressed by that. Like, wow, that's awesome. Like you can't even talk shit over there. Like they're just focused on identifying what this is, and that's pretty admirable.
Yeah, I agree. And it's right there, open source, and it, talk about peer review. That it's right there in action and in motion. So yeah, it's really commendable. And even just what you do is commendable. To be honest with you, I think that if I think back to a couple of years ago, say 2021, 2022, there was a core group of skeptics. I felt like skeptical-minded people, say recently turned skeptical, once were a believer, and they were assessing these things, and they had podcasts and they had YouTube channels, and slowly, for many reasons, a lot of them having to do with just the social interactions and the draining and sometimes detrimental nature of this topic and community, they were pretty much all gone. And so for the few people that stick around and continue,
a lot of those people got harassed into just saying it's not worth it. Like they got harassed, doxxed, threatened, like a lot of the same stuff that I've been through. I just kind of like I put my head down and keep working, but I don't blame anybody who said it's not worth it, because when people start involving like your wife or your husband and your children in this nonsense and going after your family or what, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I wanted to ask you, did you watch this this Jeremy Corbell so-called docu-series yet? Have you seen these yet?
No, I was actually going to ask you if you had watched it yet.
Yeah, I watched the first one, and I'm going to do a show on it, but I want to clip some specific portions out because I just want to tell you this one. This is my favorite part of the whole thing so far. Jeremy Corbell's like walking down the street in Texas, and he starts talking, and he says that he said, I had to rewind it like 3 times and replay it because I couldn't believe that he would say something like this. Jeremy Corbell actually said in his new docuseries that him and George Knapp don't get paid for this. I'm going to say that one more time. He said that him and George Knapp don't get paid for this. Now, meanwhile, he's got he had a 3-film deal with Orchard, which I'm sure was very lucrative. 3 film deals, and you own the rights to the film. They're going to distribute it. They were on all the streaming platforms. He had to get paid for that. He gets paid to talk at Alien Con or Phenomicon or any of these UFO conventions. He's got a monetized podcast on YouTube. He just got a TMZ and Tubi deal to do a docu-series. Are we really supposed to believe that he's doing all these things for free? He said him and George Knapp don't get paid for this. I'm assuming he means UFOs. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know the exact quote that you're talking about. I don't know if he was saying we didn't get paid for this, as in this TMZ deal, or I really don't know. I don't know the quote that you're talking about. But
maybe
clearly
clarify that.
It's clearly it's BS, and nobody thinks that these people aren't making money, however much that is, whether skeptics or believers. I think everyone understands that there's a financial motive here. It's just that some people excuse that or understand that, and other people think that it has something salient to do with everything that they're doing. But yeah, they certainly are. They have financial motives now, and they have also, future goals and aspirations. And even if someone's not making a lot of money, which what is a lot of money? You have to make $1 million a year to be considered, you know, doing something. Like if you're paying the rent, isn't that not good enough? And, you know, I don't have any problem with people getting paid for their time and efforts, but I think that it comes down to what those times and efforts are, and when it's being used to spread incomplete or unfactual information, I think that there should be something to be said about that. So yeah, I think that they're certainly making money. How much is really the question, but I don't think it really matters as much as how much is it affecting their work, how much is it affecting their judgment, how much is it affecting the things that they're putting out there.
Well, and plus, you kind of have to love the arrogance of a person that's walking around wearing a $50,000 watch complaining that he's not getting paid. And then the very next thing that he said was, I think that he was kind of trying to appeal to like blue collar working people, you know, like pretend that he's like a working man. Because the very next thing he said in this thing, right after he said him and George Knapp don't get paid for this, he said, you know, he kind of said like, oh, me and my wife, we buy properties and fix them up, which would make most people think that he's like buying old houses and like doing drywall and painting and carpentry. You know, I seem to recall a story that he bought, the last property that he bought was like $1 million property. So, you know, this whole thing seems like a performance to me. There's a man wearing a $50,000 watch complaining that he doesn't get paid for this, who just bought $1 million property, and he says, well, I don't really get paid for this. You know, me and my wife buy properties and fix them up, as if he's, you know, some kind of a house flipper. I mean, $1 million property, that's what you just bought, and you're complaining you don't get paid.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me. I took that badly because I went, really?
Yeah, I don't know the quote. I wish I had known so I could talk more about it. I don't know.
I mean, I could try to find it while we're talking, but it's not really important. Or I'll send it to you after the show. It's really not important, but it's right in the first episode of their docu-series, about 3/4 of the way through. He's just walking around. He's like, yeah, me and George Knapp, we don't get paid for this, and I buy houses, me and my wife, and fix them up. As if to say he's not making any money from UFOs, he has other income, which I'm fine with because everybody knows that I don't pay my house bills from my show. You know, it just goes into till to support the show. I'm fine with people having multiple streams of revenue, but when you're talking about a guy that's probably made hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars from UFOs, saying that he doesn't get paid, you know, I feel like you're getting into like psychopath liar territory. Like, did you really, let's go. Did he really say that? I had to go back. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm again, not surprising. That's something that, again, is not new. We hear it a lot when it comes to Skinwalker Ranch. You know, we hear a lot of, you know, we don't get paid for this. There's no type of monetary you know, gain for us, and we don't really know what the truth is because we don't have the financial records. We don't have their tax returns. We don't know, so they can say anything that they want, right? One would certainly have to really stretch their imagination to think that they're doing all that stuff and that they haven't received any type of monetary gain for that. Yeah, I don't think that anybody would really believe that. But hey, it's just an ambiguous comment, right? Like, hey, me and George, we don't get paid for this. It sounds like, and it's just like, you know, who knows what he's talking about? It's just.
I'd love to see his tax returns. Like, show us your tax returns for the past 5 years, buddy, because you're complaining you're not getting paid by UFOs. His tax returns would show if he's getting paid by UFOs or not. But Mr. Transparency and Disclosure Advocate probably doesn't want to talk about, you know, release that. You know, it's just interesting to me that a man wearing a $50,000 watch would be complaining he's not getting paid, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's, again, like a lot of this, like, you know, we're in the bold new world of like influencers and, you know, internet streaming and just like being an influencer. Like, who knows what they're getting paid for? Like, They're doing it for a reason, you know. They're
Look at
on
this.
social media having hundreds of thousands of people follow them for a reason, you know.
He said, "You definitely won't find me saying this at the 38." He gave it. Jeremy Corbell gave us the timestamp. I'll see if I can't find it. Thank you, Jeremy Corbell. Thank you. And don't complain about money when you got a $50,000 watch, bro. Don't do that. That's really bad. Yeah. So, and what do you think of the David Grusch situation? I haven't checked in a while. Wait, give me 1 second. We're at 219 days, and there's still no evidence. Tell us your thoughts on David Grusch.
I don't know. I don't expect that there will be evidence. You know, we're going on almost 7 years for Lou Elizondo, and we don't have any evidence to even prove that, you know, he ran the U.S. UFO program called ATIP, you know, that it ever even existed. We haven't even proved that, right? Beyond the shadow of a doubt through some type of verifiable evidence. I don't expect that we're suddenly going to start making leaps and bounds with David Grusch. I think that he's going to do the circuits and see how far it can go, and, you know, whatever. I don't know how long it'll last, but I certainly expect that it'll go much like Elizondo has gone, and every single other person who's ever come out over the last 80 years. Yeah, I don't think that we're going to get much evidence either way. And these people, you know, I don't know what Mr. Grusch does or does not believe. I don't know what he may or may not have been told, you know, but he's certainly not being transparent. He's certainly presenting things in a way that you're just talking about Jeremy Corbell in that, you know, comment about, you know, me and George don't get paid for this. Like, it's so ambiguous. We don't even know exactly what he's saying, like, you know, but he's getting a feeling across to an audience that he's pandering to, who think that, you know, he's really doing this out of his love for disclosure and his desire to see this information get out. He's not doing it for money. And that's the bottom line. He doesn't care that skeptics might not buy that or have valid questions about his comment and it being ambiguous. He's sending a feeling out there to the people who are going to accept it without scrutiny. And Mr. Grusch is doing the same thing. He's framing his answers and he's being vague in a way that only people who are already sympathetic to his message are going to accept it. Anyone else will have serious questions and red flags raised by everything that's happened since he's come out.
Yeah.
The lack of any type of evidence that he's presented for anything that he has said.
Yeah, we want to thank Jeremy Corbell for giving us the exact timestamp. And let me put my fair use banner up. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public, and we'll be discussing the very short clip that we're playing. This is just to display, you know, I'm telling you, I was shocked by this because maybe I misunderstand what he's trying to say here, but it seems pretty clear to me. It seems like he's trying to say, I don't make money from UFOs. Hey, I do other things for money, like buy $1 million properties with my UFO money. Like, oh no.
On the average day, this is the fucking average day. This is, I probably cursed too much. I'm sorry. This is an average day, man. You know, George and I, we work on this every damn day. And this is not a job that we get paid for. I actually have a real job. But luckily it's real estate. It's, you know, I buy and my wife and I fix up properties. So this UFO thing is because we want to know the truth.
So there you have it. I mean, I think he's being pretty clear. He's basically saying that UFOs is not his job and he doesn't get paid for it.
Exactly. And we just talked about why and who he's presenting that message to, because again, anyone in their right mind that knows who he is and knows what he's done and the amount of media he's been involved with, projects he's been involved with that are clearly for profit, knows that what he's saying isn't true. Almost anyone knows that what he's saying isn't true, but there's a certain segment that he is directly talking to, that all of this is being directed to, who will accept it, who will at least say, well, maybe he's making some money, but it's not about money. It's about his love for disclosure, about wanting disclosure.
Oh, so that's what
to
he's trying. He's
bring
trying to
truth.
communicate, like, "Hey, I'm a hero. I'm not doing this for money." And but
Right.
it's just shocking to me because, like, a quick Google search. Look, Orchard picks up 2 UFO documentaries from JKLC Films, doubling down on the extraterrestrial. The indie distributor has signed a 2-picture deal with JKLC Films to release its new UFO documentary films, Hunt for the Skinwalker and Bob Lazar. So, you know, I'm pretty sure that he got paid for 2 films, right? He didn't work on 2 films for all that time for free. It's just shocking to me the level that some of these people are willing to just straight lie through their teeth. And I'm sorry, I'm calling it. That's a lie through his teeth. To stand there on a camera and say, this isn't, you know, I don't get paid for this. And he said me and George Knapp don't get paid for this. Both of them don't get paid for this.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where the disconnect is. I think maybe, just maybe, you know, maybe his conscience is bothering him if he has one, because he does get attacked for all the money he's making and all the fake stories that he's put out. So maybe, you know, I got the impression that he was trying to appear like a blue collar working guy hero type that's taking on the government or something. You know, it's all narrative. It's kind of ridiculous though. And thank you, Jeremy Corbell, who's in our audience, to give us the timestamp. Thank you. That's a parody account, by the way. Do you know I get emails every time that person comes in here complaining that people are going to think that's really him? He says, this is not a job. As I walk past the homeless man right on camera, he says, this is not a job, as he walks past the homeless man. Allegedly, I don't know if this is true. Somebody did a post that watch he has is $50,000. I want to make clear that I'm not sure that that's the case. He's free to correct me. But if it is true, he's buying multi-million-dollar properties, wearing a $50,000 watch as he's walking by a homeless man saying, this is not a job. This is not a job.
Yeah, no, clearly not true. And again, nothing new. It's often the case that these people present themselves as having, you know, no type of underlying monetary motivations, you know, that it's always about getting the truth. And that's all that messaging was about, you know.
Yeah, it's like
again,
David Wilcock.
And it may be very true that his main source of income is through flipping houses. That may absolutely be true. I would absolutely
we'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Level that he is at in the UFO community, I would absolutely believe that he probably makes more money flipping houses than he does with anything
especially if he's buying $1 million properties to fix up and flip.
Yeah.
You know,
and a lot of this is sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. A lot of this is about ego too, right? About being a celebrity, about having attention, about being important, and about being the dude, right?
Yeah, apparently he bought a $1.8 million house in Ojai a year ago. Is that in Hawaii somewhere or something? I'm not familiar with Ojai. I wanted to ask you too, speaking of grifts, what did you think of this whole MH370 thing? This guy has been on Alex Jones. He was just on Timcast. It's ridiculous. All based on 2 completely and totally fake videos that have been debunked out the wazoo by multiple experts, and people still refuse to believe that those videos are fake. What's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, that's just, again, like there comes like Jeremy Corbell, his stuff's ridiculous, and then we get to like a whole nother level of ridiculousness that's just, you know, the complete woo. And this is the stuff that even like most UFO devotees hate to even have related to the topic, because they know that it makes everything else look bad, you know. I think it's really disgraceful. I think that, you know, people died in this, and it just I think that we can learn from it, right? And see that it's not something that's just isolated to UFOs, this type of sensationalism and kind of grifterism, and even just really misguided beliefs and devotions. there's a lot of it out there, and I think that obviously the internet has allowed a lot of that to be reached and to be directed and to be useful for people. I think most of us can agree that we've seen both political parties use small social groups, some more than others, to achieve goals, right? And even just if we think back to the Tiger King series, Carol Baskins, the amazing things that she could get done in Congress just by having 20,000 people behind her that are willing to sign a petition. She has power. She has the ears of lawmakers to get things done that she wants, laws and legislation.
You know what's interesting? I was supposed
Lou
to
Elizondo has far
I was supposed
more,
to interview her.
followers.
I was supposed to interview her, and I think she agreed to the interview, and then I think like a day later she canceled because I think she kind of knew that she got a feeling that I tried to tell her I was going to be nice to her and respectful. I would have loved to talk to her because that shit was great during the pandemic. Does everybody remember Tiger King and how great it was? That shit was just
It was.
That was by the way, that formula is now being copied, and the formula is you start off the story and the story gets crazier and crazier and crazier with each episode. That's a great format because it keeps you glued to it, She's an interesting character. I really wonder if she killed her husband,
Yeah. But see, and you just hit the nail on the head. Like, this is so relatable to the UFO topic because, like you said, the story just grows and grows. And we know that most of what we saw in Tiger King and the ones that followed, are just wild speculation, right? And it's sensationalism. But for people like her husband, his first wife, and the daughters, there's clearly a whole lot of belief and emotion and turmoil wrapped up into what they're doing, and going from wild lawyers to media influencers, and they're just putting their hope into people that they just want to find out what happened, I think, to their dad, and they just really don't like Carol Baskins. And so it opens them up to being led down all kinds of probably false paths and just being taken advantage of by people, right? And it's just very relatable to the UFO topic, even down to that very level. And then all the way up to the level of Netflix and the major media conglomerates that just want to put out content. And it doesn't matter if it's true, doesn't matter how much evidence there is to back it up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying to find that. I did find a reference. Jeremy Corbell didn't set out to become a professional UFO enthusiast, and it shows his $1.8 million property. It's on Pinterest if anybody's interested, but I don't have the full article, so I'm not going to share it. So $1.8 million property that he just bought last year, $50,000 watch. I don't get paid for this. I think he needs to learn some lessons in humility and gratitude, maybe, especially when you consider. I think the reason it bothers me, Steve, is because if anybody makes that kind of money and they do good work, or they're doing something that's good for humanity, or even their local community, or even their family, even, I'm fine with that. Like, good for you, man. I'm glad that you're successful at what you do, especially if it is something that you enjoy and you're passionate about. But when somebody's literal job is to sell bullshit, and then they're crying that they're not making money when they bought $1 million house, it's David Wilcock territory. He complains all the time about his income dropped and all this stuff. Like, he's living in a $2 million log cabin mansion complaining that his income dropped, and he's not able to make the money he was able to make a few years ago before the secret space program crash. I don't know. Do you know a lot of wealthy people? Because most of them are not, that I have encountered, are not like that. That they're some, at least the ones I know. Maybe I've just been blessed. They're humble about it, and they keep to themselves about their finances.
Yeah, I mean, people come in all flavors, right? Like, again, these people are clearly there's ego involved here, right? They want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be famous.
Yeah, that spotlight is worse drug than crack cocaine. think it's terrible. I've seen people do worse things, Steve, for a little bit of spotlight time than a crackhead. You know, stabbing people in the back or doing dirty things to get a better spot on a show or get a show. Or it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So we can pivot from the jellyfish update. I think it's enough to let our listeners know that the entire story as presented was factually inaccurate on like 5 or 6 points already. And those were the points that had no proof or evidence. All we get is a grainy ass, unidentified, a video of something in the sky that's difficult to identify. And granted, it does look strange, but that doesn't automatically equate to aliens. Can we talk a minute about the jump to aliens, right? Why is it that they just jump? It's like that's their default starting point. And then they look for evidence to support the alien thing, right? It's like doing it backwards.
Yeah, well, and again, it depends on what your goal is, and their goal is to present UFO-looking content to people who want to see UFO content, right? And it's not even that they're necessarily pandering to the really small minority of, like, say, UFO Twitter. Like, most people who they're hoping to reach are just people that kind of believe in UFOs. They don't really research it, but they like to see the stuff on TikTok and on YouTube or listen to a podcast here and there. And like, they don't talk to anybody about it, but they're still going to be watching. They're still going to be clicking. And that's who they're really just trying to put stuff out there for. And that person is never, ever going to know that, Metabunk, offered some really good counters to this. And they're never going to, they never found out that the 29 Palms, was flares and heard other information related to it. It's just temporary content to put out there, and
that's a very good point. And I think that you're right in that they probably got a whole collection of stuff. So they know, like, if one gets debunked, we'll just put another one out when that one dies down, It seems very scheduled to me. And that should be a cause of concern for people that think that these people are like, disclosure warriors somehow. It's not about disclosure. It's about profit. It's definitely about profit.
Yeah. But you'll see, people will excuse that in some way or kind of explain it away in their mind and say, well, he's got to mask, maybe who his source was. So by spreading it out over a long time, they don't know when he got it and just, or whatever, well, he's got to have some content to at least be able to fight this good cause for us. So he's going to milk them out every once in a while. They'll explain it in a way, right?
Yeah, they excuse it away. They always excuse it away. And that's not a good thing to do, because don't you think that things would be different with the grifting if people really were held accountable? Like, I don't know why, but I had this thought experiment once where I thought about this. Let me ask your opinion. Like, what if you get caught in the UFO community selling a completely and totally fake story? If you get caught, you're banned from selling any UFO stories for 2 years. Imagine if we could do that, right? They would stop doing it instantly because, either that or they'd come up with better methods of fakery, which might not be a good thing. Like Linda Moulton House, she gets caught selling completely and totally fake pictures of aliens. There's no consequences. Exactly what you just said happened in that case. People all start making excuses for her. She's an old lady. Maybe her source lied to her. Everybody made excuses. She got away with it. And then a year later, she did the same scam with different fake pictures of aliens and got caught again. And by the way, that's twice now that we caught her selling fake, 100% provably fake pictures of aliens that aren't real. And there's been no consequences for her. Her view counts keep going up. They don't drop. Her money, she's working Contact in the Desert, which I think she gets like 10 grand to appear there for one day. Like, there's no consequences for these people. I think that's a major part of the problem. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. And it would be great if that was the way, right? If people looked at things and said, look, this guy, Corbell and Knapp, like, they keep putting these things out. They've done 5, 6, 7 of them, and none of them have ever shown to be conclusively what they claim they could be. And many of them, almost all of them, in fact, have almost conclusively been shown to be something else. And it would be great if people thought that way within this topic, right? And unfortunately, it's just not the case. There's again, there's like an underlying built-in default to just accept that a lot of this stuff is not ever going to be conclusively shown to be a UFO or an alien. Some of it's just going to be solved, and that's great, because we need to solve the stuff to find the alien stuff, right? And just there's just a lot of built-in acceptance to things that there should be a resistance to. There should be a pause, right? And I can relate myself, having been a believer at one time at a certain level, you know, and I certainly didn't think that I was a believer. I thought that I held views that were founded upon good evidence, right? And it took me a while to really start realizing that it wasn't good evidence, that it was all incomplete, unverifiable, anecdotal evidence. Almost 100% of the time, it was someone said. That was all I had as evidence, was someone said. But because it was someone who was respectable, someone high ranking, a military, whatever, politician,
Yeah, they always mask the
source.
True,
you know,
they always mask the source and good credentials. You know, like I love when they say, like, one of my high ranking military sources said. You know, and then we do get to the ridiculous level with that, like Jeremy, what's his name, David Wilcock and Corey Good saying that they're talking to generals. Like, what kind of a real general is going to talk to Corey Good or David Wilcock from Ancient Aliens? Like, this, it's just so unbelievable, stupid. But they, on live streams, they're like, I talked to a high-ranking general this week. I got a briefing. Everybody's getting briefings. It's ridiculous, right?
Well, I mean, if at the point that you're believing that these men actually went and fought off in space for 25 years and then came back and were regenerated and then lived their life, like, if you're believing that, then you'll probably believe anything, right? And I think that that people like Wilcock and Corey Good, like, they know that. If the person's already bought what they're saying, then they're pretty committed. Even as someone who believed in aliens visiting here, and that, you know, most likely within 5 years, the government's going to release the information and disclose the truth to us. You know, I really did believe that at a point, you know, probably
yeah, me
like
too.
2018.
Yeah, me too.
You know, but I never ever
but
believed in 25 and back. I'd never believed in
Corey
Good.
You know what? I never
Ranch,
bought Corey Good or David Wilcock. But I started following them because it was so ridiculous to me. It was like a circus of, like, what are these assholes going to say now? You know, oh, now you're fighting a Draco reptilian alien on Mars. Oh, now you're doing this. Now you're doing that. It was so ridiculous that I tuned in and I used to just, you know, maybe partake a little bit and watch it, you know, and just laugh my ass off, because I was just fascinated that they grew such a huge following. And a lot of people don't realize this, but before Lou Elizondo, that was the big thing in conspiracy land. These two dummies, you know?
Yeah, and the same, by the same token, you know, I used to listen to Coast to Coast, like, religiously.
Me too,
even up into like 15, 16, 17, 18. But yeah, it's like Corey Good was the biggest thing in ufology, the 25 and back. Like, that was the biggest thing in the topic. That's what, like, MUFON was pushing at their conferences. That's what was selling until TTSA and Elizondo came along and really stole everyone's thunder, from Greer to the 25 and back guys. Like, they really shifted the whole topic's attention to them and to the government and to legislation and politicians and a very core group of people who are allegedly fighting for disclosure. And I think you see a lot of that rift still going on, right? And Greer claiming that, you know, Elizondo and them are, you know, have agendas and stuff, and it's just everybody fighting over a very small piece of cake, man.
Yeah, I love it too. One of the other things from this series that was funny, and I think it's grifter control. I think it's like they're trying to control their competition. is Jeremy Corbell acts like he's like a debunker, and they try to like debunk the Mexican aliens, like, you know, like as if that's any more ridiculous than the shit that he pushes. Like, you know, oh, those guys are full of shit, but not me. You know, it's in the docuseries. But the good news is you mentioned everybody fighting. Now all those people stupid enough to believe that those Mexican Nazca aliens are real are like attacking Jeremy Corbell on Twitter. They're all going after him, like, how dare you? These are real. You didn't even you know, evaluate the evidence. You just, you know, said they were fake, and they got Gary Nolan saying that they're fake. Oh, it's beautiful. It's like a big circus.
Yeah, like Bill Moore said, you know, the UFO community could destroy itself far easier and does than the government ever could, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
but you know, it's such a fast. I think there's such a fast turnover of the actual audience that's devouring this content. Right? They're only doing it for a very small amount of time, or it's something that they're just not really that hardcore into. That once a year or two passes, it's a completely new audience for the most part. You know,
I think you're completely right. Yeah, in fact,
and that
we
just
started
allows the grift to go.
It happens here too. We started doing replays, and I was looking at the replay in the live chat, and I went, "Oh my God, there's so many people that used to come to every one of my shows, and they're not here anymore." But I don't blame them, because a few of them I've talked to and I'm still friendly with, and they kind of explained it to me. They're like, I was really deep, exactly what you said. I was really deep into this for 1 or 2 years. Then I found your show, and you know, I kind of woke up that this was all a scam. And so now I'm playing video games with my spare time, or now I'm doing this or that, you know, and good for those people. There's hope to get out of the goddamn rabbit hole, apparently.
There is, and you know what, like that's the norm, right? Like most people, there's very few people still here from 2017 when TTSA and Elizondo came out. You know, the topic's flipped over multiple times since then. It's almost, the audience has really turned over even just since the 2021 UAPTF build up, like, and it really does allow them to continue, you know, their mojo, you know, and that's what and you were just touched on a lot of people that are just, you know, not here anymore. And I was touching on it in the beginning of the show, and that's kind of the way that it goes. You know, people just suddenly aren't here. It's not like they go and they talk about or share about how they suddenly started having doubts or seeing red flags and sharing on that. You know, they just kind of move on, and that's just how life is, you know. So, and I understand fully why they do that. So again, kudos to the few people like yourself that do continue to stick it out, you know, and in Lou from UCR and all the other guys out there.
You know what I
said girls out there now.
I did say, like, I always kind of evaluate at the end of the year what my coming year is going to be like. And being self-employed, you only have so much time and energy and passion and other things that you are may become prioritized. So I said I'm giving it 1 more year, and I won't guarantee any longer than that, because I don't know what's going to happen. And there's other things that I could be spending all this time and energy and dedication. And, you know, it takes a lot to keep the door open here. It takes everything some weeks. I just can't, you know, I can't just do this forever, you know. I'm doing my best, though, to keep going and to stay interested, because, like, how long can I go, this is fake and this is fake and this is fake? You know, we're going to be veering into other topics, though. Electric universe is tomorrow. I don't know what that's going to be like. Do you know much about that?
No, I do not.
It's a wild kind of a thing. We'll explore it fully tomorrow with another viewer, Joey Esposito, who's been a panel member here, and he's big into all of this electric universe theory. And you know, yeah, I'm gonna have to veer off into other topics just to stay sane, you know.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And you know, even myself, if, like, you know, I haven't started a podcast, I really haven't done put it as much energy as it takes just to follow this topic and to do my hobby and to follow the rabbit holes and information that I want to follow, that energy alone, I couldn't imagine having to do a show every night on top of it. It's just, you're very valuable to a lot of people, and it's certainly not something that you could just probably do forever. So thank you for while you do it. And there'll be other people that will come along and pick up the torch, to be a minority of critical thinking and skepticism, promoting those two things, in a majority of people who just kind of want to have their beliefs fed back to them, and to just kind of enjoy the topic and the mystery. But there's there are people coming here that want to try and figure out what's going on. They have real valid questions.
I've been saying this. I just heard alien scientists today in a spaces with UFO Shane, and it was excellent. And I wasn't a speaker. And by the way, people keep asking me to join spaces. I just don't have time. You can ask me to listen to your space, and I may do that while I'm working during the day or something, but I just don't have time to join all these spaces that people want me to. I will be doing a few though, but part of me thinks, maybe I'm going to get back on the right track. And if a lot of this stuff is disinformation, it really could be to throw people off of the trail. And one of the trails that I think, I said this recently, one of the trails that I think people really should be following is looking, when we talk about UFO crash retrievals and where they may be storing the stuff and who may be in control of it and who may know where it is and what it's about. Battelle Institute. Go look up Battelle Institute. They run all of the most secret labs in the United States. Battelle Institute. And there is alien scientists uncovered an awful lot of evidence that stuff from the government ends up there, and then they delve it out. So that may be a good avenue of exploration and investigation, right?
Yeah, and I haven't followed everything from the alien scientist, but I have seen a lot of his stuff on Battelle, especially from a couple years ago, and he's done great deep research. I just happen to disagree with him, I think, on what a lot of that research points to, ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, it could point to secret, human technology projects. Doesn't mean it's alien
Correct.
stuff.
Yeah,
that's a big jump to make. And just to try to be a good show host for once, this is tomorrow night, an interview with Joey Esposito, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Electric universe theory, what the hell is it? We're gonna find out, because Joey's sort of an expert into these matters. And I'm just glad we're going to do a night that's, off topic for us. Hope we don't take too big of a hit, but I got to talk about some other things, because the burnout is setting in,
Yeah, absolutely. And, doing this almost every night of the week. And I can't imagine, you don't want to keep covering the same things and talking about the same things all the time, right?
And
so
feel like you're repeating
I can
yourself.
understand
Yeah.
that.
We want to thank
But,
Shan.
it is important
Oh, go
that
ahead. I'm
people
sorry.
like you out there, or it is important that you're out there to repeat that again, because it's a lot of new audience. When I look into the chat, because I listen to your show almost every night, and I'm in the chat a lot, and a lot of new
people
faces
that are
there were not there 2 years ago, so they haven't
new
heard
faces.
a lot of the things
glad
that
for
we've
all of them.
covered. Yeah, and
that's one of the reasons I started doing that's one of the reasons I started doing the replays, is because people started asking me for shows I'd already done, and then I'd go use the search bar and they still can't find it or whatever. So okay, I'll rerun that one or whatever. We want to thank Shan Nispa for two things: being a member and a kind and generous $2 super chat, says let's go. And we want to thank Chris Damaris, longtime show supporter, says Jeremy Corbell told me to tell you there's more for you if you grow that big bushy beard you promised. Well, that's not going to happen, but we thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Steve Long, did you ever have a wife? You're not married, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you are married? I didn't know that.
Yeah, married going on 6 years.
Well, congratulations. I don't know about you, but my wife has direct control over things. First, though, we have to thank our kind and generous benefactors here, Chris Damaris, and I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, Shan Nisba, for their kindness, generosity, and support in helping us to praise the cash.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Yeah, I have a wife that will cut me off if I grow facial hair. Does that make sense? You understand what I mean, right? She's just like, I hate that.
Yeah.
Don't get in my bed if you got a beard or you're too scruffy. You know, I could skip a day or two shaving, but other than that, I can't grow a beard. And besides, when I try, maybe I'm not manly enough. I don't know. It just comes in. I look like a homeless man. I can't. Got a lot of friends with beards. I have beard envy. Shane's got that big one. He looks like Santa Claus, right? Shane, UFO Shane. He looks like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
But it's brown and it's like big and bushy. He looks like a Shane. UFO Shane looks like he could join ZZ Top at any minute. But I cannot. So that's not gonna. The beard thing is just not gonna happen, Chris Damaris, because I'm not getting cut off of happy fun time for you, right? Or especially for Corbell. Talmud, thank you for being a member and for a kind and generous $10 super chat. Thanks for helping us to praise the
cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right, now I have a couple more questions here, but one of the most important ones is, given that this is a big question, and I'm asking a lot of my friends that are in conspiracy land this. Given that in 2023 we saw the Peruvian or Mexican alien hoax come back again, which means that people like Jimmy Church and Christina Gomez were jumped right on to make some money out of that. So given that people are in the UFO community are literally willing to make money off of dead babies' corpses being ripped apart and glued back together with plaster to look like ET. Like, that's how grifty this has gotten. That's how shady the UFO world has gotten. I want to ask your predictions for 2024. Is it going to get griftier than this? And if so, how can it get griftier than ripping apart dead babies? Like, what's next in the shady world of UFOs?
Yeah, I don't know, Stephen, obviously, what will come in 2024, but I feel that it'll just be more of the same. And even the things that you're talking about are just repeats, right? He's been doing these corpse mutilations and false alien things that involve people's remains for years, going back a decade or two now. So I don't, and that's just Jamie Musan. That's just Jaime Musan. And again, so I think 24 will show much of the same across the board for everyone. We're not getting anything new. We're just getting the same old stuff, often from the same old people. That's all.
Daisy B is informing us it has to be long. A beard has to be long or literally just shaved, or it hurts. And I think everybody knows what she means. When you do the good stuff for your lady, you got to be clean shaven. Thank you for the advice, Daisy. And I want to thank Welcome to the Show for a kind and generous Pound 99 says Linda Moulton Hale now has a mall alien encounter memory. She encountered an alien in the mall. Well, praise the cash. Welcome to the show. I'm sure she'll make some money from that.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Yeah, and I want to tell you, Steve, I apologize. I apologize to your wife for me. I did not ever ask you if you were married. I don't know why, but I thought you had a girlfriend and weren't married yet. I don't know why. Maybe I confused you with somebody else.
No, it's okay.
But 6 years in, how's it going? Is it still okay?
No, it's great. I'm very lucky. I'm a lucky guy.
She tells you to say that, wife, right?
Hang on. Let me close the door. I'll be right back. No, your wife sounds a lot like mine. She also prefers that I stay clean shaven, especially that she doesn't mind if it's like a 5 or 6 day growth going, but the first day or two, she certainly doesn't like that, and that's why you see me always clean shaven.
Well, see, there you go. There's some great advice for the ladies too. You too can control your man's appearance. My wife tells me she's telling me to get a haircut now. I'm like, it's not even long yet. She's like, it looks too scruffy. At least get it cleaned up. I'm like, okay. And let me ask you another married guy's question. Do you buy your own clothes, or did you stop buying your own clothes when you got married?
No, my wife would probably love if she could buy me. She would absolutely love if she could buy me clothes. But unfortunately, it's just not that easy. I have to try everything on. Doesn't matter if it's a brand that I've wore before or not. So Christmas.
So you're Metro and prissy, and she can't just do it for you.
Yeah, I'm a real whiny bastard when it comes to everything, to be honest with you.
I don't know what happened. I don't know how that happened to me, but my wife, as I recall, my wife, when she was still my girlfriend, moved in with me, and the next thing I knew, she threw out a bunch of clothes of mine and bought new ones, and I was like, what the hell? So I wanted some of that stuff. She's like, oh, those were ratty. I got you good stuff. And I just went, okay. And I don't think I've bought clothes or anything like that for myself for 20 plus years now.
Yeah, she finally a couple years ago got me to throw out a lot of my old clothes that I had from even like the 90s, a lot of stuff, you know? Like, I don't know, I've been the same size since I was in like 8th grade. So
yeah, she made you throw out the flannels and stuff. You remember those, the program flannels of the 90s? Everybody was wearing flannel for no reason. Oh, I don't know if this story is true. Eric Stitt is here. He says, I buy my own clothes, camo pants, 9-line, grunt style, military t-shirts, boots, scent lock, and grunt style hoodies. Well, I guess you're better off buying that stuff, right? Yeah, I don't know. So do you think it's just it's not really going to get any griftier? It's just going to keep going as grifty as it's been. Is that your general consensus?
I imagine so. I imagine we're really just going to see more of the same. I bet we'll get some more videos from Knapp and Corbell. We'll probably see some more people claiming to be whistleblowers, whether they testify in a Congress or not. I don't know. But I imagine that somewhere along the line, at least one or two more people will come out as at least supporting the whistleblower narrative. I mean, we're just going to get the same old stuff, you know. I would like to be pleasantly surprised, but you know, I'll be here following along, regardless.
Oh, okay. So I think you're right. I think that Corbell and Knapp are going to keep the grift going. They got this docu-series deal, and there's nothing saying. I think it's supposed to be 3 episodes, but once they see the numbers, they're going to give them more money, and there'll probably be 3 more, right? Or 10 more.
I bet.
300 more. We'll see what happens. Troll is here and says, in the old days, you used to get great deals in military surplus stores. Not anymore. Yeah, I agree with you. So, yeah, I want to make sure that I let our audience know that I will be here tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That will be 5 live shows at 9 p.m. in a row, Sunday through Thursday. I'm not sure about the weekend yet. I may get to the cabin. I still have to figure out if the roads are passable because they just got blasted with 2 snowstorms. What state are you in? Did you have problems with the storm, Steve?
Yeah, I'm over in New Jersey. So
that's right. You're not too far. Yeah. You should. Where in New Jersey? Northern or southern New Jersey?
Down at the shore.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you're like
not far from Atlantic City.
Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe when we get this in-person studio set up, you should come here. I'll buy you dinner and we'll do a show here in the in-person studio.
I would love to. That would be great. That would be great. Although I don't know, man. There was a guy that used to be in this community. Who was that guy that came up to your cabin that one time and you guys did a live show and you were breaking his balls and I don't see him anymore. He is gone. What was that guy's name?
There was 2 of them. Anthony.
Yeah.
He's still around. I just haven't spoken to him much. And he kind of went, here's what I'll say. And by the way, just to be clear,
I'm just kidding. That was a great, I just want to say that was a great show. I loved it.
Oh, and it was Ron from Cosmic Neighbors. Yeah, Ron. They might be coming back. Well, you don't know. I don't know about Anthony, though, because here's what I'll say about Anthony. Anthony is kind of off on his own thing now, and I don't know how much we can agree on anymore. I have nothing against him. Good for him. He put a disclaimer for entertainment purposes at the beginning of his show. That's all I need to say. And then he interviewed Kerry Cassidy and a bunch of other people, and I was like, okay, I don't know,
oh man,
I don't know what happened there, but it is what it is, Some people fall to the grift side, right?
It's tempting, it is tempting. But no, I thought that was funny, man, because Ron did not have he did not like his balls being broke, and you were you
Oh, I
noticed
bust
that.
his balls. Oh, I did. People in the live chat who are not aware of what happened, I tortured these guys the whole time they were at my cabin. They went to sleep, and I have a really incredible, like a DJ bassy sound system. And I found like these sound effects of bears like banging things and scraping and growling and shit. And I turned the bass on the speakers all the way up in the room next to where they were sleeping, to the point that the walls were shaking. And I played the bears, and they were in there. I wish I would have recorded it, because they were in there. They were in there like, what the fuck is going? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Where's Steve at? And I ran out of the cabin. So they went in the other room, and they didn't know what was making the noise. I'm a terrible host. They had a good time, though. Other than that, and the fact that it was like 10 degrees when we were trying to do a sky watch with all their, they got great equipment. I'll say that. They had all these low light cameras, infrared and thermal and
Oh, really?
I had never had an experience like that watching the sky. You could see so much more with those things. They like amplify the light. You could see, like, you know, you look up and even in the mountains, you see all this wonderful starry sky, but under the enhancement, it's like you see all the stars between the stars that you can't see with your naked eye. So,
Right.
yeah, and we saw the whole Milky Way and the sort of the arm of the spiral galaxy with that stuff. It was pretty intense.
Nice.
But they were kind of pissy because there was no UFO activity. And I'm like, sorry, I couldn't summon the aliens for you like Stephen Greer, you assholes. You know, like they were upset. They were like, oh, you said there is a lot of weird stuff you see because it's at such a high altitude. But I didn't really see anything, you know, nothing out of the ordinary. We saw some shooting stars and, you know, stuff like that. But we didn't see anything crazy.
Yeah, I'd be excited to see you get your cabin channel up and running, man. It's always cool to see when you're filming out there.
I keep pushing it back. I started filming out there, and then what happened is, and a lot of people don't know this, I planned on finishing a tiny cabin in really in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere, by winter. But I got rained out 9 weekends in a row right before winter, so that kind of killed that, and I just kind of pushed it to the following week, you know. Or push it to the following spring. Yeah. So I'll launch that in the spring, and hopefully that'll be something else that I do in between this to keep myself sane, right?
Sounds good, man. You got to have other things, right? You got to have other hobbies. You can't just do UFOs. Be madness.
Yeah,
but
you know,
You know, one thing I just want to point out, you know, because we've been talking about everything that's going on in current events and what might be going on next year. And I just want to stress to people, because I know with myself, I find that it happens very easily, but you can allow those things, you know, the current events, the popular narratives, the things that are going on right now that won't be going on next week. Something else will be going on. And you can allow that to really direct or kind of distract your research and your focus. And I just want to point that out to people as a friendly reminder, you know, as I have to do for myself, because it's really easy to just let the ever changing, always happening UFO ticker kind of lead your eye and lead your nose. And there's just all kinds of incredible history out there throughout the 80 years of the topic, whether it be just, you know, a couple of years ago, you know, previous interviews and conversations that were had on YouTube or on Twitter, going back even, you know, 20 years to radio shows and even further back to the 50s and 60s. And if you do find yourself devouring a lot of that content, you'll see that almost nothing has changed. And almost everything that's going on today was going on at some other time in the past. And people were just as certain and told us just as certainly that disclosure would be coming and that the world would change.
People said this stuff in I found a reference of somebody saying that in 1951. That the government was finally going to tell the truth, that they know that aliens visit Earth and they're going to tell us the truth and stop lying about it. I found a reference from 1951. That's incredible, you know, and they were saying that it's going to happen next year in 1951. You know,
Yeah,
with
Major
75
Keto.
years. You know, yeah. Well, listen, I want to thank you for joining us. Always good to talk to you. And again, you know, good luck on the marriage thing. I hope you keep it together. You know, happy wife, happy life. I don't know if you learned this part of marriage yet. Just do whatever she wants, because you're going to have to eventually anyway. You just save yourself the arguments and just do it. Just whatever she wants. Just okay, honey. You know, just that's what I do, and it's kept me undivorced and alive. So, and not homeless. So, it works out.
Thanks, Steve. I'll possibly take that advice into consideration. We'll see.
All right, you have a good night.
But no, thanks for having
buddy.
me, really, and I appreciate.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks
Stay
for
in
everybody
touch.
for requesting me, and I'll see you guys all in chat tomorrow night, I'm sure. Take care.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Steve Long. Always great to talk to a friend, especially when, you know, he's right. Like, I'm getting burnt out going through all this stuff. And at some point I go, you know, I don't know how much longer I can do this, or, you know, maybe I have to step away from the canvas and regain my focus, or whatever the case may be. And I wasn't planning on it tonight, but another person, an audience member, who I really enjoy talking to, especially when there's a lot of griftiness going on, is Jess. Go Kick Rocks on Twitter. Who is Axelrod? It's at go_kick_rocks88 on Twitter. And she's been getting into some pretty heated stuff on Twitter. I follow her on Twitter, and so should you. We're going to bring her in here. Welcome, Jess. You made it.
What's up, Steven? You know, I've been watching it. I've been watching you guys for, you know, the past couple of, you know, hours. You know, I had to pause for a minute to yell at my teenage son who come in late past his curfew. But other than that, I've been listening to you.
Well, at least you know what? God bless him. He's home safe, and you know.
Yeah, the freaking kid, like, he's 17 years old, about to be 18.
You
Come home
remember being
almost
that
2
age, though.
o'clock.
You remember being that age, though, right?
God, he's so much better than I was at the age. I was.
Man, I was blessed, Jess. I was blessed with 2 parents that slept like rocks. Like, and my dad woke up at 5 a.m., so he went to bed at like 9 o'clock. So, you know, my curfew was like 11 o'clock when I was a teenager, as I recall, when I was in high school or something.
It's a different time, though, man.
I would stay out until 4:35 or something. You know, like, just enough time to sneak in and get in bed before he woke up. And I never.
Yeah, I remember at that age, when I was 17 years old, I would go to school, I'd go to work, I'd go to the club after work. I would sleep like maybe an hour, if that. Then I'd wake up, go to school, and do it all over again. So I'm blessed to have a son that is actually, you know, not half as bad as I was at that age. So, I mean, he's good. You know, I just got to keep him straight. You know, it's a different time. Like, when I was that age, I was grown. He at that age is like I was when I was like 12 years old. To me, in my mind, like, it's a different time. You know, it's like kids don't mature as fast as they used to.
Yeah. So if you've been following this, are you following this Jeremy Corbell story, crashing down the jellyfish nonsense?
I've been following everything Jeremy Corbell has done since he's done it, and
so that's why I like you, because you know the history of the grifting. You know, like, that this guy sells garbage every time. It's like guaranteed
every
garbage.
single time. There's nothing that he has actually come out with that's legitimate. And, you know, the only argument I get is the fact that Sean Kirkpatrick, he come out with a video last year that kind of looked like the Mosul orb, right? It was like a spherical object. And I think it was at his when he did the whole NASA conference. Wasn't that when he like showed that?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
people jumped on that and said, okay, hey, it looks like the Mosul orb. So people started validating Jeremy Corbell's video of the Mosul, or his still image of the Mosul orb, because Sean Kirkpatrick, put out the video that looked like a spherical object that was going through, and they said, "Oh, there's these spheres that we're seeing all over the world, but we don't know what they are yet. We don't know if they're human technology. We don't know if the Mosul orb was actually the same thing that was in the video that Sean Kirkpatrick
Well, see, they like this. This is what I call conflation. They always do this. They conflate completely and totally separate events into the same event. And even in the case of this Jeremy Corbell latest video, I'm not convinced that the object shown over the land and the object shown over the water is the same object. I don't think that it is, honestly. I think they may be conflating two completely separate events. They put them together, concoct a story, which is all, by the way, falling apart now. It's like building an illusion, something I know something about. There's different parts to an illusion, and you take from different sources, and when you put it all together, it creates the illusion of something. And I think that these people create the illusion of true stories about UFOs and aliens. But that's the problem. When you peel back the layers of deception, it's pretty weak. And the fact that it only took 24 hours, and by the way, people are yelling at me and sending me nasty messages. It's not debunked yet. Well, a large part of the story is debunked, though. It didn't go in the water. It wasn't filmed from a weapons platform. It wasn't even, they didn't even get the date and time that the sighting happened right. That was wrong. And that's been confirmed by multiple sources. A witness that worked on that base, plus you can confirm that through Google Maps. You can see what buildings are there and not there at different times and match it up to the video and go, it couldn't have been October 2018. It was October 2017. They're a complete total year off of when this event happened. And then also, we add to that, just the cropping of the data out of the video. I don't think they did that by accident, right? And all these things coming down, the footage was taken by an intelligence agency and buried. No, it wasn't. It absolutely wasn't. The object in the video changes temperature. No, it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. The object was filmed from a weapons platform. No, it doesn't. These are his claims, and what is it? Half of them now are completely and totally busted to be fake. So
I know him well enough. I know him well enough, and I know his MO well enough that I called it out straight away. That the fact that he said that I went into the water and then came back up and shot off at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah, and that wasn't in the video.
Straight away, I was like, that's complete and utter nonsense. That did not happen. I'm willing to bet anything that didn't happen. There's no video of it. And then, Green Street, he come out.
There's a witness.
He backed it up.
There's a witness that saw the original video that said none of that shit that Corbell said was in the original video. I saw it. All of us at the base, we would show it to new people. We would talk about it. It was like a ghost story at the base. Look, this UFO. And he saw the whole video. It didn't go into the water. It didn't shoot out of the water. It didn't shoot off at high speed. It didn't make 90-degree turns. All of that was complete and total fabrication. So there's two possibilities, Jess, and I want to ask you, which one do you think it is? The only two possibilities are either that Jeremy Corbell is the laziest, dumbest UFO investigator on planet Earth, and he's being fed fake information and he's too dumb to know it and he just runs with it, or he is purposefully lying to everybody and inventing parts of the stories that he sells. Which do you think it is?
Well, that's one of the things I said. Either the person who told him that fed him this, and they're trying to set him up and trying to feed him this information because it came from the same data set. I think he said he'd been sitting on it for a couple of years, which makes me think it came from the same data set. I've not confirmed that yet, and he's not specifically said it came from the same data set.
He's never going to tell you who the source is, right?
Right. But I mean, at least with the Mosul orb, and he at least said that that came from the same data set that the 2019 drone swarm came from. So he said he had been sitting on this for a couple of years now. So it kind of makes me think that it came from the same data set, right? So we know the data set, the 2019 drone swarm, those were prosaic 100%. So I thought that he was being messed with back then when he was putting this out.
You're correct.
Or,
And you talked to me about this, just so everybody's aware. Jess told me, I think that he's being messed with by intelligence people. I think they're purposefully feeding him like stuff that will get quickly debunked. So, and you didn't really give, I don't recall that you said, but what I think, if that's the case, they're doing that so that they can make a mockery of this subject, and people say, see, it's all fake. It's all fake. You know,
I mean, the only issue I have with that is I said that initially that I thought he was, being made a mockery of, and he was being like, fed this information on purpose. But then there was the whole investigation that was opened up. So maybe it's two different sides of the intelligence community working against each other. I'm not sure. It's a possibility.
Whatever
It's
it is,
not
there's some weird shit going on. Because let me ask you another question, because this is important, and I can't get my brain around this. How does a guy who keeps putting out completely and totally fake stories about UFOs become the new media darling of UFOs? How does that happen when he's wrong every time? Or do they just not care? We have Brian Dunning here, and he made a very good point. And his point is the television producers and the people that make these TV shows and all this stuff, they don't care if it's fake. They only care if people tune in. Is that maybe why he's the new UFO expert? Because he gets clicks and views. He's good at clickbait garbage.
The only thing that I can possibly think of is that it's intentional. Either it's intentional and he is being fed a certain amount until he is reaching his limit, and he's going to be set up as a fall guy, as a patsy. He's eventually going to be a patsy and take the fall for all of this shit. Or, like I told you earlier today, he so arrogantly said, I'm a journalist. I'm untouchable.
Yeah. That's amazing that I think, though, that he may be under some sort of legal. There's a reason that he suddenly declared himself a journalist, and it's not because he always wanted to be a journalist. It's because he thinks that's going to offer him some kind of legal protection for leaking possibly sensitive or classified or whatever government information that he's not supposed to even be in possession of, let alone be releasing to the public.
I mean, the last time I checked, it doesn't matter if it's classified, it's classified. If you're a journalist, they have other ways of dealing with you. Okay, they're going to shut that down. And it also makes me question, why are they letting it go so far? If these are very secure systems, secure sensor systems and stuff that he's putting out there and he's leaking to our adversaries, why is our intelligence community still letting this happen? That has to come into play eventually. People have to question that eventually. Why is this being allowed?
You're absolutely right. And I also think, I don't want to get on my soapbox here, but I will say that as a taxpayer, I have a real problem with a grifty, scummy scum. You know what? Let me take that back. I'm going to try to not make this personal. As a taxpayer, I have a real problem with my government allowing anybody to make a living out of taxpayer-funded videos that he doesn't own or have the rights to. Why is he slapping his brand on government-funded videos and materials that he doesn't own? And then also, I have a really big question, and nobody will answer this for me. And I went to News Nation and a few others. When you see the news and they talk about UFOs and they play all of his fake UFO videos that aren't UFOs, they're IFOs, by the way. They've been
always
identified.
his videos, and
They're
he probably gets a kickback. Yeah,
and he probably gets a royalty payment from what is essentially a government-funded or taxpayer-funded video that I don't believe that he should have the right to profit from. It belongs to everyone. It's public domain. I don't get it.
No, I 100% agree with you with that, and I don't understand like why that's happening. Like, unless it's being allowed to happen, the only other explanation for it is that they know this is going on. Nothing happens. None of these whistleblowers are talking behind the scenes without them knowing who's talking behind the scenes, if that makes sense. Like none of these
Yeah.
people who are like this, I've heard that there's so many people lined up to come forward. Everybody that's lined up to come forward, they know who's lined up to come forward. Anybody who's had any type of involvement in these programs, like they know who these people are. They know what they're doing. They're
Yeah,
the
it's a
most
small
watched
club. Yeah.
people in the world. They're not doing anything in the shadows. They think they're being sneaky. There's nothing that they can be sneaky about. They're like, oh, we're gonna come out sneakily and we're gonna reveal these UFO programs. No, if you're involved in the most secretive program in the world, you don't think that you have 10,000 freaking eyes on you? I mean, it's ridiculous to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that you're
Nothing is
right.
ever going to come out unless it's ready to come out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. And I also wanted to ask you, because we haven't talked in a little bit of time about the Grusch situation. Did you see what I posted from Dark Journalist? Grusch told Dark Journalist he would love to do an interview with him, but he can't because he's afraid of reprisals from Christopher Mellon. Which means,
yeah, I saw that. I heard you talking about that
but
earlier.
here, Jess, this is what it means, and I hate to take a victory lap and say I told you so, but I will. One of the things that I said that got people in such, a frenzy is that I said that I believe that UFO grifters and scammers were manipulating and controlling him, and people went nuts on me, and you know that. You kind of watch my Twitter and all the nutters,
Oh, yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
now we have at least one data point confirming that people are manipulating him and controlling him. That's
I
some
mean,
shit right there. I think that's a big deal.
I think the very first day that he come out, I was one of your very first people that we talked to, and I was on your show. I think that we've had the same initial impression of this guy from day one until now, and it's only been confirmed.
Yeah.
So with
well, you
Chris
were one of the
Mellon,
few people that I think were dead on and actually agreed with me. Most people were telling me, no, he can't be. They can't control and manipulate him. He's intelligent. He's got his own thing going on. And then we find out, oh, Brian Bender says he was groomed for this role by Lou Elizondo. Oh, we find out he's working for Gary Nolan. Oh, we find out he's citing Hal Puthoff as a source. Oh, we find out Eric Davis is one of his sources. And one of the things that we both said is that his sources are known UFO wackadoos whose names we all know. So maybe he does have 40 sources, but they're all people like that. And somehow Christopher Mellon is pulling the strings, just like he pulled the strings on Tom DeLonge, just like he pulled the strings on Lou Elizondo and others. It's amazing.
okay, so there are two solutions to this in my book. Either one, they want him to say what he is saying, and it's a psyop. The solution number two is they're waiting him to say something wrong to set him up to be able to pull him back and to make an example out of him.
To prosecute him for something, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's anything else that really fits. Either they're waiting for him to go too far, or they want him to go too far because that's what they want. So it's one of the two.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. I just want to take a moment to Eric. I appreciate your comment, but I have to say this: the views expressed by those in our live chat, including those that I may share on the screen, may not necessarily reflect those of myself, my show, or my company. Everybody is free to express their own opinion, but the opinions that they express in the live chat are their own. And I'm sorry I even have to say that, but I don't really want to get any more legal threat letters, just so everybody is aware. I should have read that one a little closer, but no worries, Mr. Stitt. So what the
I mean,
Grusch,
even with me, everything I'm saying is just my own theories. It's my own opinion. Like, I don't have, like, any inside knowledge. I'm just trying to say I've been watching this very, very, very closely for very many years, and this is what I've come up with. So,
yeah, and I wanted to mention too, it's been a while, 219 days we're at with zero evidence so far put forth by Mr. Grusch. Do you think he's, there's talk, oh, now he's got, first they said he had no firsthand knowledge. Multiple people said he has no firsthand knowledge. Then all of a sudden, just like the recovered memories that people get when they need new stories to sell, suddenly now he's got firsthand knowledge. He's going to be doing an op-ed piece. But we're at 219 days and he hasn't shown evidence of any of his claims. Do you think that he ever will show evidence, or is all his evidence other wackadoos saying things to him?
he's never shown exactly what he was cleared for Dopser. He's never shown that in full. He's never shown that. He's never published it. It was cleared. Why he's never published that is ridiculous to me. It means that he's hiding something, or either he's sitting on something to sell. So
he's waiting for the book deal. He already got a documentary deal, according to my early reporting here, which turned out to be accurate, even if you count the Yes Theory piece as a documentary, which is, they called it a documentary. I'm wondering too, because Jess, you're a family kind of person like me. And in my family, my wife is like the lioness protector. I mean, certainly I'm the protector of my family too, but you know how women are fierce protectors of those that they care for and love, and
right.
And most good wives are fierce protectors of their husbands. And just to make this a little lighter, as men, Jess, we do stupid shit, and then our women are usually there to pull us back from that stupid shit and stop us or help us correct our course. I'm worried or wondering about Mr. Grusch and the money situation and his wife. And I haven't asked a woman's perspective on this. There's two possibilities here, because people keep saying that he's doing this and he's not getting paid. I've heard 100 people say he's not getting paid for this. He's not getting paid for this. But we can look at the monetized YouTube views, and just with basic first grade math, we can tell that hundreds of thousands of dollars has been generated, I believe. I may be off in my estimate. It would be fair to say 100 or 200,000 at least has been News Nation has been covering this nonstop every day for 219 days.
Okay.
And then we've got Theory, we've got Joe Rogan. I'm telling you, hundreds of thousands of dollars have been generated. I'm curious about his wife. Do you think his wife knows that hundreds of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars is being generated by him? And do you think that somebody should let her know that?
I mean, my honest opinion, and I'm like hesitant to say my honest opinion on what's going on with him, but I think that, he was pulled in by Jay Stratton. He was pulled into it. He was like at a time where he needed something to focus
and
on.
By the way, we've all been there. We're not degrading
we all are.
for having that tough time. And isn't it interesting though, Jess, that's kind of how cults work. They get you when you're having a tough time, and then they pull you in. And you need this feeling of belonging, and you need some form of purpose. You need to feel like you're improving things, and things are going to go better for you now. That's how cults work, and it seems like that's what they did to him. And of course, that's just my opinion as well.
Well, I think when he was like in a time of need, he really needs something to focus on and to believe in other than, his job and his life. And, he was just coming out of, some serious duties. And he had some friends that had passed away, and he got pulled into this. And I think that he just dived into it like wholeheartedly. And he was pulled into it even more with when Jay Stratton asked him to. And he has even said that he wanted to, kind of pad his resume with the UAPTF role.
Yeah.
He jumped into that. And, there have been questions asked about whether or not he was the person that, Jay Stratton asked to go and recover the information from the 2019 drone swarms, because Stratton has said that, hey, I had a guy that went out and I sent to go recover that information, bring it back, those videos. He was, they were balls deep into this. And I think that maybe he just got really head over heels into it, and he just got into the whole world. It's easy to get pulled into the whole UFO phenomenon in general, and maybe I honestly think that maybe he had good intentions in the beginning, and he overly shared, in my opinion. Probably not sure. There's no telling. That's just a possibility.
Yeah, could be.
And he may have got caught up into something that was a little bit over his head. He had his bosses. You had George Knapp say that he had 2 bosses that come down in, what was it, 2022 of last year with him to the SCU conference. We don't know who those bosses are. Those bosses have never been declared. Their names have never been named.
They should be identified. Yeah. Because I don't quite understand the sequence of events. Like, if you go to a conference and you hang out with UFO grifters, but your bosses are there with you, why would there be reprisals? Wouldn't your bosses just step in and say, you shouldn't be here? Why would they go with you? And then there's reprisals. So something about the whole story doesn't make sense. But I wanted to ask you as well, I believe in a road to redemption for all men. Is there a redemption arc for Grusch in which maybe he will wise up and realize if he is being manipulated and controlled and used by these people to generate hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars for them? Is there a possibility you see that he'll wake up and maybe spill the beans on it all? I think that's well within the realm of possibility. It might happen. You never know.
But let me give you a little bit of a sequence of events that what I think actually occurred with him is, and I think I've looked over this sequence of events 1,000 times, and it makes so much sense to me that he was pulled in by Stratton. And this is just my opinion. I'm not claiming anything. I'm not saying this is for fact. I'm just saying this is just my opinion of what happened.
Yeah, you're allowed to speculate based on available evidence.
So, it's pure speculation. So I think that Stratton pulled him in. Stratton was then terminated from the whole UAPTF in January of 2021. Corbell released his footage of the 2019 drone swarms, and I think it was in April of 2021. And then in June of 2021, the DODIG released a statement saying they were doing an evaluation upon the handling of UFO information within the DOD and how everything was, being passed around, because those images were leaked, right? The very same day the DOD released that, Elizondo put in his complaint, or I think it was his complaint, his IG complaint to the DODIG, saying that, he has been retaliated upon. A month later, Elizondo comes out and said, he had conversations with the new guy that took over the DODIG, and he wanted to talk to all of the heads of all of the intelligence agencies that were handling the UFO information. Grusch was one of those people, by the way. And I put
Interesting.
documentation. If you look at my Twitter, I put documentation out on this that shows that this is actual fact. Grusch would have been one of those people that was spoken to. And after that, that's when Grusch started getting retaliations against him. Or he alleged he had retaliations and reprisals against him.
Yeah, but the real question is, what were those reprisals? Were those investigations because he was hanging out with people like Corbell and Knapp, who were clearly getting leaked sensitive government UFO information?
Grusch was already a part of it at that point in time when those images started coming out and those videos started coming out.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is what he's calling retaliation could just be investigation into improper handling of sensitive or classified government information that's strangely and mysteriously ending up in the hands of Knapp and Corbell. And
they started looking into the drone swarms. That's the whole reason that they started looking into it.
Knapp and Corbell's responsibility to say that, we didn't get this information from Grusch, and why won't they do that? I think there may be paperwork somewhere, and they're afraid of that coming out. But again, I'm speculating as well. But it seems the timeline matches too much. Grusch is hanging out with them. They're releasing classified or at the very least, the Mosul orb was a still image that came from a classified briefing, which means it was never meant to go to journalists or go out to the public. And somehow Grusch is hanging out with them and they end up with it around the same time. So something's not right here. Something is just not right with the whole situation. And just like always, we never get the whole story, right, Jess? We get this carefully crafted narrative of what's going on and what the relationships are. And I don't trust any of these people to tell us the truth at this point. None of them.
No, if you actually plot it out, the timeline lines up perfectly to where Grusch came in, Stratton asked Grusch come in. He was asked to get the 2019 stuff from the ships. He sent somebody actually to the ships to bring that back to him. And then that stuff was sent up to Washington. It was included in all sorts of briefings. But the thing that gets me about all of that is you hear Corbell over and over again saying, hey, the Pentagon never got this footage. Okay, who recovered the footage? Stratton recovered the footage, and Stratton's aide recovered the footage. Whoever Stratton's aide is key.
And Grusch worked for Stratton, so he could have been the aide. I mean,
he could have.
I get that
speculation, but he.
I get that we're speculating and we're connecting dots, but the dots are a little too close together to not.
They're too freaking close for comfort. Yes. Yeah.
And by the way, Jess, I just want to mention to you that I don't even know that. No, I don't want to. I don't want to announce. Here's what I'll say. I am working on a story about this very situation, and I'm demanding answers from government sources. But as well, many people have heard me opine and complain about before. When you start asking government people questions, they say things like, well, what news outlet do you write for? And then I say, well, no, I have a podcast. And then they instantly shut me down. Like, well, I'll get back to you. And they never do. But I've employed the help of some people with real press credentials so that we can get answers on this very issue. And I'll be bringing that. I'll talk to you off air about the progress on that. But we're going to go to the government and say, we want answers about this whole situation, and we're going to give it to them.
I'll be straight up. I'll be saying, like, I put a timeline together. I don't give a damn which government agency or whoever wants to come in and ask me about my timeline that I put together, because I had nothing to damn do with any of this. I've just put this shit together from the stuff that they've said. So if they want to come to me and they want to say, hey, what do you know? I'm going to be like, all right, listen to the shit that they've said.
I think the government should answer these questions. Like,
I mean,
the
this is
situation.
stuff that they
Who
should be
leaked-
answering. Exactly.
Who is Corbell and Knapp getting these leaks from, and why is nobody investigating it if they're not? Or the first question is, are they under investigation? Is there an investigation ongoing about where they're getting sensitive or classified government information to then profit from? That's the first question. And then if they're not under investigation, why not? What, do you not care about people leaking sensitive or classified government information to UFO people to profit from? They should be investigating, but you know how incompetent the government is. They probably don't even understand what's going on here. Or
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, if they only freaking
it's like
knew.
one big circle jerk of UFO wackadoos.
If they freaking knew half of the shit that we have put together and actually took time to look at it and put a timeline together and investigate, like this whole damn thing would be solved. But whoever is in charge of the shit, almost in my mind, they're incompetent to carry it out.
Steve Long with a very good point. It's well established via court precedents that journalists can't be prosecuted for publishing classified material unless it puts troops, ops in harm. But whoever initially leaked the material can be. And that, Mr. Long, may be the reason why Mr. Corbell suddenly started calling himself a journalist out of nowhere.
Oh, that's 100% why he all of a sudden took on a journalistic role. All of a sudden, hey, you know what? I'm a journalist. You're a journalist. We're all journalists, if that's okay.
Yeah. I actually have cards with investigative journalists printed on them. Yeah, I declared myself too. But I felt like I needed a card because sometimes I go places in person and start asking questions and they're like, well, who the hell are you? And then I'd be standing there trying to explain it. It's a lot easier if you just have a card. They just look at the card and they go, okay. And then they answer your questions. I even have a press
what constitutes being a journalist? I mean, do you have to produce a film?
I don't know.
Do I have to produce a film to be a journalist?
You report things on Twitter. You're a citizen journalist. I'm a citizen journalist. I report things on my show every day. You know, I don't think the standard is very high for calling yourself a journalist. Otherwise, Jeremy Corbell may be sitting in the pokey right now.
I mean, seriously, that's the most ridiculous claim. He has no credentials. He's not gone to school for journalism.
No,
he's just reporting shit.
I think he's doing that solely for legal protection because he knows that they did some shit that was shady. You know,
yeah, since last year, this freaking time when he come under fire. And why did he come under fire? Because he was leaked shit that he should not have been leaked.
Yeah.
And none of the stuff that he was leaked was aliens. It was all military training exercises. And
in other words, nonsense. It wasn't what he said it was. In three cases. No. In three cases.
So how long do you think they're going to let him leak out and post sensitive information? Like, that's one of the things I was telling you about this. Like, it was not you said it was a weather sensory platform, right?
It was it was an Aerostat, which is a surveillance platform. And I'll get an image of that up while we're talking.
I mean, was that classified? I mean, it's probably not.
Yeah. And also there's a witness to the original video that saw it at the base that is talking about it. So he could get in trouble if it was classified. Jeremy Corbell said it was taken by an intelligence agency and then buried, this jellyfish video. No, it wasn't. Otherwise, that person from the military base that saw the video and worked at the base wouldn't be talking about it. They know better, I think. This is an Aerostat. And Jess, I did a little bit of research because I love dirigibles and blimps and lighter than aircraft. And I wasn't in time. My dad has a book of dirigibles, blimps, aerostats, all kinds of lighter than aircraft. I went to my dad's old books. This is used often in military bases. And what they do is they put it on a tether or, like a big rope. And they just float it hundreds of feet or thousands of feet. I don't know how high. I don't recall off the top of my head. Above the base. And then if this thing has multiple cameras, this one has one, but it tilts. It turns. They can get a 360-degree view of everything happening around that base through the use of this aerostat. And all it is basically a big balloon on a string with a camera on it. And it feeds down. So this is what actually took the jellyfish video, and that's been confirmed by multiple sources. And the latitude and longitude of where this aerostat on the base that jellyfish video was taken at line up perfectly to the video. And also we have a witness that worked at the base who said, yes, it was taken from an aerostat. Yes, those are the correct, coordinates. That's where it was taken from. So Corbell was completely wrong. He said weapons, it was taken from a weapons platform. An aerostat has no weapons. It's not a weapons platform. I think he said that just to drama up the story,
right when he said the whole second part of the story where it went into the water and then it come back up and it shot off
right away.
after 17. I was like, that's bullshit.
You know how I knew?
That's so much freaking bullshit.
You know how I knew? I knew right away too, because he's talking about the UFO, and when he gets to the part about the water, they flip to stock footage of water. And the UFO video stopped, and I went, oh, he doesn't have that shit that he's talking about on video. And I thought he's either making this up or he does have that video and he's saving it for the next drop or, whatever. But it turns out that video doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. I knew that it never freaking existed. It was a freaking made up story.
He lied through his teeth about where the video was taken. He lied through his teeth about what platform took the video. He lied through his teeth about this being taken by intelligence agencies. He lied through his teeth about the thing changing temperature. He lied through his teeth about it going down into the water for 17 minutes. And all these things are lies or fabrications, or he was fed terrible information and he didn't fact check any of it. Stephen Greenstreet found all this out in 45 minutes.
I mean, at this point, I know this guy's MO. I've watched him for so many freaking years, and I know that he elaborates on every single story that he pushes, right? There doesn't matter what it is. Even if the 29 palms, remember the 50 other witnesses he had?
Yeah, what happened?
He always elaborates and he always pushes it.
I said this, Jess. I said that every time that he releases something, he does an additional bluff, like to prove that it's not. And he always throws in stuff. And then the funny thing is that all the UFO believers just repeat his stupid, unproven talking points that were made with no evidence, his bluffs. And this was one of his bluffs, just like, oh, I have 50 witnesses to this giant spaceship. So if you try to say, hey, maybe it's flares, people are like, no, he's got 50 witnesses. They all say it's not flares. And this time, if you try to say, hey, maybe this is just balloons. It could be balloons, Stephen, because it went into the water for 17 minutes and it came back out. And these people just keep repeating these talking points from him that are false information, fake information, disinformation, made up parts of the story with no evidence. It's amazing. They all get
every story never fails. Every story, every single freaking story that he tells, he elaborates. He adds some shit on that's complete and utter fabrication. So every single time, there's not a single story that he has sold. And the one story that everybody was like, oh, well, the Mosul orb, and they go back to Kirkpatrick because he sent the orb. The orb video of something flying over, which has never been substantiated as anything other than maybe a balloon, maybe some parallax. And nobody knows what that is, okay? But because Kirkpatrick said that one thing, all of a sudden, everything that Corbell says now has been validated. Because it's like what do you call it? The prover maneuver, like it's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, but you, I think you and I are absolutely correct, and we can display it with facts and evidence. Every time he comes out with a story, he's got the prover maneuver built in. Like, and I swear he does this on purpose. I could be wrong, but I swear he does this on purpose. Like, hey, people are going to say this is just balloons. Let's come up with a reason why it can't be balloons. Balloons can't go underwater for 17 minutes and then come back up. We'll add that in. Or people are going to say this is just flares. let's come up with a prover maneuver to tack onto the story so that we could say it can't be flares. And in that case, it was, I have 50 witnesses. They all swear it wasn't flares, and they're military people. They know what flares are. You're right. Every single story, he tacks on the prover maneuver to try to keep the grift going as long as possible before it comes crashing down. But don't you think, Jess, this is the third time that he put out a story that just comes completely and totally crashing down as soon as he puts it out? Like, aren't even his fans going, maybe he's full of shit by now?
I mean, what do you count as third? Like, I counted so many more than 3. The drone swarms,
I said the pyramid.
100%
Oh, you're right. I forgot
for
about that. So 4 at least. Drone swarms, the pyramid, the pyramid bokeh, the flares, and now this story. That's 4, right? And then
I mean, and what about the CIA guy?
Yeah,
the CIA deathbed confession guy.
Yeah, and Linda Moulton House said that guy was dead at the time that they interviewed him. That's great. And then also, there's also
you got Bob Lazar too.
Yeah, Bob Lazar.
I mean, nothing the guy has ever freaking said ever.
Yeah, everything that he puts out is fake. It's like, if you want to know if something is, it's, you know how I have some certain rules, and one of the rules is if Third Phase of Moon puts it out, it's fake. Now I have to add Jeremy Corbell. He's in the same league as them. Every fucking story.
You know what you're forgetting?
It's fake.
So you know what you're forgetting? You're forgetting one of the videos that he put out after the Mosul orb. It was this year. He put it out under the weaponized
Iraq, Baghdad. The Baghdad.
Yeah, it was the one that was like a little line that they proved on. That I think Kirkpatrick proved that it was just like a plane, right?
I think so. Yeah, I got to look that one up. But you're right.
Everything that he's ever put out has been bullshit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this one, I'm getting people arguing with me that it's not completely debunked yet. But if half the story was fake, what are the chances the rest of the story is not fake? And if he lied about the location, the date that the video was taken, the platform that the video was taken from, it being transmedium and going in the water, it being taken by an intelligence agency. If he lied about all of that, what are the chances that the rest of the story is completely and totally not fake? You know, at some point you just have to say he's a garbage peddler.
And you know, I'm kind of optimistic. I'm optimistic that this whole disclosure movement is bringing people into the arena, because we're getting new people with new expertise that can actually have eyes on these things and help and say, hey, I can identify that, or I can help with that. You know, everybody's like, oh, hey, let's get rid of the stigma. Yeah, let's get rid of the stigma, and let's bring people in and have everybody's eyes on this shit and actually identify the stuff that's being put out. Let's do it. Like, let's, and when there's something that's truly anomalous, that's maybe alien, that's maybe something that's we're all looking for, we'll know it. I think so. I really think that we will know it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know what's going to happen next, and that's what keeps me glued. It's like, how many more fake stories can Corbell come up with and still have a career? But maybe it's like Linda Moulton Howe. He just does the Cosmic Con shuffle. That's our term here. That's when they get caught selling a fake story. They just shuffle off for a little while, and then they shuffle back in with a brand new fake story and hope everybody forgets, and they rinse and repeat the cycle. That's what I've observed here, you know?
Have you ever noticed that the whole 2019, it just completely went away?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what else is interesting? I thought about this. You know, Jess, in any other field, if you get caught fabricating a story, your career is over. Like, what if you're a reporter and you cover politics and you just create a totally fake story and you put it out? Your career is over if you get caught. But in UFO land, it just happens all the time, and there's no consequences. We talked about this with Steve. Don't you think there should be consequences for some of these people? At least hit them in the pocket. I would love it if there could be a rule. Like, if you get caught like Corbell selling a complete and totally fake story, you're banned from selling a UFO story for 2 years, right? It'll never happen, but
You know what I have seen though? Like I'm a little bit optimistic that I have seen a lot of people that are coming to light and starting to realize some of the things that, some of us have realized for years now. Like
Yeah, I
a
get
lot of
people,
people have
they're
idolized
waking up. Yeah.
Corbell. But
Yeah.
you can only play the same hand for so long until people eventually get tired of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And Daisy B with a great point says, how many more fraudulent stories is it going to take for their followers to realize they are scammers? Yeah, and scammers is a strong word, just to be clear, Daisy B. But I use it myself sometimes because I can't think of any other. There's only two possibilities: either he's completely and totally incompetent, lazy, and stupid, or he's carefully constructing fake stories on purpose. Those are the two possibilities. There are no other possibilities except for the fact that maybe he's being manipulated too, kind of like Grusch is being manipulated. I'd love to know who's the person running that. The whole puppet show is, though.
I mean, those are the only two possibilities. Either his bag of tricks is getting low and he's really pulling down deep.
And you know what
And
we call
people are,
that, Jess? That's called he's turning the grift knob up to 11. We even have a shirt for it. The grift knob up to 11. That's when you really need money and you got nothing. You just got to bluff a whole story or whatever you got to do.
I mean,
It's
either he's
amazing.
doing that or he is being set up. I mean, those are really the only two possibilities.
Yeah, and one of the other possibilities, Steve Long reminded me, is that like that thing about the journalism protection. Wouldn't it be a terrible situation if, let's say, for example, because he declared himself a journalist, he was not prosecuted, but the people who gave him that material all did jail time? That would be a terrible situation, right? And it's well within the realm of possibility, according to several people that I've talked to about these
Yeah, I
issues.
think that's coming. And I think if Grusch actually had a hand in anything that he gave to Corbell, I'm not saying that he did. I'm saying if he did, if he had a hand in that, that investigation is still open. I haven't seen anything that declares that that investigation has been closed. And for an investigation to be going on for that long means they're waiting for something. They're waiting for something to seal it up.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm on the edge of my seat waiting to see what's going to happen next, right? Like how
I mean,
grifty.
seriously, like think about it. If it's been going on for that long, it's either they're waiting for them to hang themselves, whoever the leakers were. Not saying it was Grusch, but whoever it was, either they're waiting for something concrete to seal the case so they can prosecute. It's obviously still open. Or it's intentional, like a disinformation or a psyop of some sort.
Yeah.
This shit's been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh no, I agree with you. And I'm just sharing on my screen here, Jess. The grift knob turned up to maximum. It wasn't 11. I'm sorry. Sometimes you got to turn the grift knob up to maximum, Jess, in order to make the money. And I have caught several of these people when they really did fabricate an entire story, including fake sources, in order to sell a story. That's the grift knob turned up to maximum. But
yeah,
what do you think that these people just get addicted? I got an insider, and I'm not going to mention who they are because no one would believe me if I did. But what he told me is that all of these people involved in this stuff, they are all going to do anything they have to because it's such easy money and nobody wants to work a fucking day job anymore. Why work a day job if you can make $20,000 on one story you concocted or whatever the case may be? So these people will do anything to keep that rolling. Even if they get caught, they just take it on the chin and keep going. They get caught again, take it on the chin. They just look how many times some of these people have been caught selling a completely and totally fake story. We've got
nobody. There's no repercussions for it.
Yeah, Yeah,
I mean, do you
that's the
remember
problem.
back in the 2021, I think it was like the Senate hearing, like congressional hearing 2021, like that was one of the questions were like, hey, are there going to be any repercussions for people who are just hoaxing this shit? And it was asked to Scott Bray, and they were like, "Oh, we're going to look into that. We're going to see if there's anything that we can do about this." But nothing had, no laws have ever been passed. Nothing has ever been passed about all of these people who are just constant. And well, it's vast. There are so, there are so many people that are scamming so many people off of this UFO phenomenon.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's
it's
unfortunate that
vast and it's major.
it's really, and you know what, one of the other thing is, one of the things that I've realized recently is that the new age stuff that gets mixed in with UFOs, especially, but even the UFO people, they're all older. The crowd, like go look at the crowd at a UFO conference. It's all older people. So maybe they're getting close to the end and they're really desperate for answers. And these people take advantage of those people. And we certainly see the new age people taking advantage of people near the end of their lives, telling them they're going to help them, you know, on the Rainbow Bridge or Ascend or whatever nonsense. It's very, it's sad to see that there's so many people willing to just use and manipulate people to make the money. It's crazy. I have a conscience. I have a deep conscience. I really do. Like I would feel bad about doing anything like that, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I know you do I do as well. Like I could never bring myself to, I could probably make so much money if I wanted to by
Yeah.
manipulating all these
Yeah.
people. There's
Jess,
so
what
many
did you
people that are easily swayed.
Yes,
Like
Jess,
I
did
can
you hear?
identify
I
right
said
now
this.
so many people.
I said this. I thought, what do you think would happen if I did this? What if but I told the truth to my audience. I said, look, I'm going to be a grifter for 90 days, and then we're going to track like how much money we make grifting, like as a social experiment. I'm just going to put out all kinds of nonsense, Bigfoot videos, and fucking I'll be making, fake UFO shit in my garage, and let's just try to grift for 90 days. But I need a grifting partner to help me come up with stuff. So I choose you, Jess. We're just going to be grifters for 90 days. I think this would be fun.
Everybody loves the fake narrative.
We
Everybody
may
loves
never
the
go back.
fantasy.
I'm afraid we may never go back though. Like I'm going to get a taste of that easy money. I'm going to be like, holy God, we just made more in 90 days than my whole show's history. Like,
I mean,
time to be a
seriously,
grifter.
like I
Yeah.
already know so many damn people. I could make so much money. I could be a freaking millionaire by the end of the year by taking advantage of so many vulnerable people. But I don't have that conscience. Like I can't do that.
Yeah, I don't really have that in me unless it was like for a goof. Like that would be a goof if I did that for a little while. Even if I did it for 30 days or whatever, it would be a goof. I wouldn't do it like seriously. But I
I could do it for
swear,
30 days and be like, ha, suckers, look at how stupid you are. Look at
yep,
how freaking stupid you are. Like, I even have
yes,
friends. I have friends, like very, very close friends. And I'm like, you're vulnerable. You believe the craziest bullshit that's put out there. This is wrong. I've told them, I've explained to them, this is what you're not seeing.
you ever
And then
try?
there's still,
Yeah,
it's like a
they won't
mental
believe
thing.
you.
There's a
It's
mental
like a mental
block with
block.
certain
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Did you ever try at the height of the Q nonsense to explain to a Q person that it's not real?
You
You ever try
can't
that?
do it.
I had people in my family, dude, and like even like I had another friend of my family tell this family member, like, Steve is like an expert in conspiracies, right? And if he says it's bullshit, it's bullshit. He wouldn't have it. He was sending me Q videos at 3:00 in the morning every day for a year and fucking tell me how wrong I was. Now he kind of wised up, but it all. But
Dude, I haven't seen so today,
he was
I
one of
haven't seen my sister in 2 months.
he was one of those people that was convinced that Joe Biden was on a set. He wasn't on the real White House, and Donald Trump was still in charge and shit. Oh my God, it was so stupid.
The exact same thing. Like, I haven't seen my sister in 2 months, and she come down today, and she come to visit my mom, and my mom is like calling me like 3 times today, like, you got to come over, your sister's here, like, I want to see you guys. Like, she lives out of town. I was like, hey sis, so what's up? The first thing my sister says to me is like, Jess, did you see the Miami aliens? They're like 9 foot, 10 foot tall freaking
And you're
aliens
like,
in Miami.
no,
And I'm
because
like, are you
that is
kidding
fake, you
me?
idiot. You're my sister. Trust me, it's fake, dummy, right? I wanted to
Oh my
show
God,
this.
I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I spent 30 minutes telling her, like, why it's all fake. I'm like, stop it. If you question this shit,
Oh, you know how
call
you
your
know it?
sister up.
You know how you know 100% certain that it's fake? Because Third Phase of Moon and Goofon are covering it. They're covering
My
it.
God.
They're making a lot of money covering it too. I wanted to just show this. Just listen. This is what you get when you go against the UFO narrative. This person, I'm not going to say his name, but this is just the last hour of him calling me a fed and saying how wrong I. This is 1 hour of him tweeting. Look at it. It's like the guy tweeted me a book in the past hour. I'm not reading all that shit, nutter. Take your meds. I'm not a fed. He keeps calling me a fed. I'm not a fed. Take your meds, you dumb dickhead.
That's another problem. That's like another
Yeah.
serious problem. Is like people are seriously.
There's crazy people in this. There's crazy people. And by the way, I just wanted to make my point, Jess, that's just one guy today. There's like 10 or 15 of them today doing that to me. It's relentless, and they're convinced, oh no, you're a disinformation agent. Prove you're not. Like, okay, what I started doing.
I mean, I just accept it at this point. I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking CIA.
Yeah, they go,
Right.
they go, all right, well then, all right, Mr. Fed, this guy, he just did it. He's like, okay, Mr. Fed, tell me what the jellyfish UAP is if you're so smart. And I say, I'm convinced that it is
sad.
giant. I replied to him and I wrote, I'm convinced that it's a giant alien jellyfish spaceship from the planet Xanadu and Dimension X. Like, that's what I say to them now. And then they get more pissed and they start writing more shit. And like, my favorite is to ask them if they took their meds today. They don't respond. Well, did you take your meds today, dude?
I mean, so here's the thing. Like, can you imagine in 10 years, like, how bad it's going to be?
Yeah, it's going to get worse as the whole situation, as the grift goes on. This is the invasion.
Like, and none of this shit's happening. Like, the whole Jaime Maussan, all the bullshit that he's doing, none of this stuff is helping. I can't even post anything saying, hey, those are fake fucking mummies that are probably dead corpses that have been like pieced together with chicken bones and animal stuff. Like, you can't say anything about that without people coming back and saying, nah, man, it's real. We got so many professors, like, just because it's not the Americans that are doing it, it's like South American, biologists and stuff who are reviewing this stuff. You're wrong. Nobody's disproved this stuff. No, it's fake. It's 100% fake. You post anything about those mummies and watch your response.
Yeah, I know. I've been through it. I gave up. I did 2 shows on it, and I just give up. The people are like, well, you haven't seen the latest MRIs. You're like, listen, those things were fake years ago. I have
they were fake years ago.
I have 12 independent experts from all fields of science and on the record comments that I can cite that say they're fake, and here's why. I'm not looking at any more evidence. I'm not wasting my time on this nonsense. That's kind of where I'm at with them. But of course you got Jimmy Church and Christina Gomer. They jumped in to get their money. And I don't know if you heard this, Jess, but here's what I say to those people that are making money off this scam. Let me know where your dead grandmom is buried, and let me know if you'd be okay with me digging her up, ripping her body apart, and gluing her back together to look like E.T. so that I can make some money. And if you're not okay with that, then you shouldn't be okay with this shit. It's slimy what they're doing. They're ripping dead babies apart and gluing them back together to look like an alien to make money. That is the slimiest thing I've seen in UFO land in a long time.
I could go dig up my cat's cemetery and piece together a freaking mummy, and people would like pay me hundreds of thousands of dollars for it because they're so thirsty for aliens right now. People are thirsty. So here's the thing that we don't realize: there's a thirst for alien information. Right?
I did a whole piece on this, and that, but I called it the hunger, and the hunger is so strong that people are willing to do anything, give up friends and family that disagree with them. It's just cult-like, and you're right. That hunger for this information is so strong, but the actual real and verifiable information is so tiny, and that's what happens. All the grifters rush in to fill the void because everybody's hungry. And everybody wants to eat this information. So we don't have enough real information. We'll just make up fake shit to feed them.
I mean, I think it's because there's such a lack of traditional religion and traditional spiritualism that people have been rejecting all of the traditional churches because, a lot of it is corrupt. The traditional religions are corrupt in certain aspects. I'm a religious person. I'm a Christian person. Whether or not I believe everything, is irrelevant. I have my own founded spiritualism that's deep inside of me. But I think that there's such a lack of that in society today that they're grasping onto these other things, something to believe in, regardless of what
actually,
it is.
there's studies done that people who already have a religion are less likely to believe in aliens and UFOs because they've already got that. They don't have that void. And people who don't have spirituality or religion, maybe they feel a void and they're looking for something to fill it. That's kind of like religion, and UFOs and aliens plays the part. And especially things like ancient aliens, they think they got it all figured out, Yeah. And by the way, I just want to mention that Jess's appearance here was not planned or scheduled, but I bug Jess to come on here all the time, and she never can. And she messaged me and asked if we're doing a panel, and we weren't, but we brought her on. I'll add you to the thumbnail so people know you were here. I appreciate you being here. But we're gonna wrap things up.
I was all fired up. I had yelled at my kid for like staying out late, and I was like, "Fuck it, let's go on Cammy and show if he's still awake."
Yeah, and by the way, just so everybody knows, Jess and me talk a lot about UFOs, and we agree on a lot of stuff. We disagree on some things, but we agree on the important things. And Jess is waiting for, what is it? She's waiting for her children to be grown up and out of the house, so she doesn't like embarrass them being on a UFO show. But
no, here's the thing. Like I've had so many
Mom's on the
memes,
internet talking crazy shit again. Mom's on the internet talking about aliens. She's gone nuts again.
All right, so the last video I've had of myself like on the internet was me yelling at Jimmy Church, right?
Oh, I gotta get a copy of that. I want a copy of that.
So it was great. So I videoed myself and I'm yelling at him, and I'm like, it was over the Linda Moulton House stuff, and I'm like, this was the day that he blocked me. And like it was straight up. And then it was like a couple months after that, like, I got really hard into it. I didn't really realize how passionate people were and how they were going to use everything that you do against you. So people started using my pictures and stuff as memes. And I was like, no, never again. I'm never doing that again. Like, I'm just going to wait. And my kids are going to like kill me if I do that. They're going to be yelled at school, be like, hey, your mom's like yelling at people on the internet.
I think it's funny but you know what? That you're a good mom because you don't want your kids to have any problems from you saying things on the internet, or God forbid you have OnlyFans or something like that, right?
No, hell no.
Yeah, don't you wonder about some of those women that have children that have OnlyFans? I wonder, like,
I have a career, man. I have enough money. I don't have to do that shit. Like, I'm not knocking anybody that does.
No, me neither.
I'm just saying that I didn't.
Do what you got to do, but like I wonder about some of those women that do that have kids. Like, what if their kids' friends find their OnlyFans? And
yeah, I know
that's can't be detrimental. It can't be good, right? you know?
Yeah, I got two teenage sons who are like, I'm about to kick the hell out of the house
You know what
because they're pissing me off. So
the worst thing
after
is,
that, I'm gonna be up there. I'm gonna like start going to conventions and like confronting Jeremy Corbell. Like, you know that one dude that did with what's his name, Buzz Aldrin, punched him in the face. I'm gonna do that.
yeah.
I'm gonna be like famous for that shit.
You know, I once had a very awkward conversation with somebody, and they went something like this, like, Steven, you're a computer guy. You know a lot about the internet, right? And I go, yeah. And they go, can you tell me about this OnlyFans site? Because my daughter's on it, and she doesn't want to talk about it. And I went, what? and he said, can you tell me about this OnlyFans site and what they do there? Because my daughter's on it, and she doesn't want to talk to me about it. And I don't understand. And I was like, did you go to OnlyFans? Do you know what is on it? And he's like, no, I have no idea, but I know my daughter's got an OnlyFans account. And I went,
that's an awkward conversation.
Oh my God, I don't want to have this conversation with this poor old guy. He was pretty old, but his daughter was I don't know, had an account,
Yeah, no, I honestly have never even gone to that site, so I don't know.
I did not know. Let's stop the rumors. I did not ask Jess if she has one. We were just mentioning it because talking about embarrassing your children on the internet. I can think of nothing more embarrassing to your children than your children's friends finding your OnlyFans. I don't know why I went there. Shut up, Steve Long.
Damn it, man. Look, no. If I want to embarrass my kids, I guarantee I can embarrass them.
Anytime I'm not already sure that men are pigs. Not every time, but oftentimes when I have a female guest, I'll get an email. Does she have an OnlyFans? And part of me is like, that's really gross even asking. But then I go, well, she is attractive. I get, a lot of women do have them. Nothing wrong with that. If that's what floats your boat, But going forward,
all right. When I ever get to the point where I need an OnlyFans, everybody's gonna know it. But I don't need it. I got my own, man. Like, I've been working hard since I was like a kid. Like I've worked every single day since I was 15.
Now
I got a career.
Now the Twitter nutter is in the live chat. Everybody get him. Steven,
I'm gonna be your boss lady. You're gonna have an OnlyFans for me. I'm gonna like run it. Okay, how about that?
Yeah, I always joke, Jess. I'm gonna have an OnlyFans, but on mine, people are gonna pay me to keep my clothes on.
Right.
All right. Well, I gotta wrap things up here. It was great catching up to you, and I appreciate you coming on because I really did want to get a few other opinions on what's been going on. I think we covered it great. I want to thank Steve Long and you, especially because you were unscheduled guests, for coming here and providing additional, viewpoint and perspective. I appreciate you and everything that you do on Twitter. The only person I know that argues with people more than Jess on Twitter is me, or more than me is her. Go on her Twitter feed. It's a laugh riot, and she's so good at like backing people up and shutting people up. It's great. Yeah, here's this guy.
Everybody always tries to come at me, man.
Hey, Pete.
Everybody always comes at me.
Come here. This guy can come here every night because the more chat messages in chat, the more money I make. So just type away, nutter. Type a few thousand more messages, you nutter.
Wait a minute. Is somebody talking shit? Like, if somebody's talking shit, I'm going to find me on Twitter and I'll talk to him.
This is the same guy that I just showed on Twitter that messed all those messages, that he's going crazy, calling me a fed. And by the way, just...
All right, well, we'll tell him to come meet me on Twitter, and I will respond to him.
Go
find me, go respond to me on Twitter.
Go find a new person to harass. I've had enough for one
go
day.
do it.
You sent me like $1,000
_ kick rocks on _88. I don't even know why I have so many freaking underscores. It's because, whatever. Go find me. I'll talk to you, homie.
I'm going to put it in the live chat. Kick rocks.
God, everybody's so freaking sensitive these days. Like, nobody can do... I mean, God.
I can't believe you came in the live chat to tell everybody I'm a fed. By the way, how do I prove I'm not, Jess? I told him.
You
I
can't,
said,
homie. Like I'm
I
a
have
freaking
not
CIA
now.
agent to these
Yeah, I
people.
have not now, nor have I ever been employed by any government agency at any time or place, or United States or otherwise. There, I'm not a Fed. And I'm self-employed, and I have a company you can look up, and I don't get it. Okay, I'm a Fed.
Look,
because I don't think I'm a Fed, Jess, because I don't think that thing in the video is a jellyfish alien spaceship from the planet Xanadu and Dimension X. So suddenly I'm a Fed or a disinformation agent.
well, here's one of the things that I get about you all the time, right? So I've been a follower of you. Like you were one of my first favorite people on Twitter since I come on, like 2016,
Thank you. I
17, something
appreciate
like
you
that.
too. Ditto. I really liked you from the
So
start
we've
too. Yeah.
been like dealing with this shit for how many years now? And we've
I know.
always
Yeah.
been there on the same page. And people always want to say, I can't believe that you go on his show. I can't believe you did that. I'm like, fuck you. Like, this is like, he's like beats any of these other people out.
I
Like,
appreciate.
you
Yeah, I
have a proven
appreciate you.
track record.
That's a good friend too that is there to support you. And one of the other marks of a good friend, Jess, and you certainly qualify to this, is that when I'm not aware of somebody trashing me and you're there defending me anyway. And I've seen that. So I just want to thank you for always being supportive and defending me. I appreciate it. You're one of the
You
good
have a proven track record, man. I'm always going to be there. So, like, I support
until
your
I
show.
start grifting, then you got to come and check me. You got to be like, Steven, this is
I'll
grifting.
come
What are
check
you
you and be
doing?
like, homie, look, like, what are you doing?
Did you go to the grift side? What are you doing? Yeah. All right, we're going to bounce on out of here. I appreciate you jumping in here, Jess, and don't be a stranger. We want to hear you back by yourself for a scheduled event. I want to do that. Let's do that.
All right. Let's do it.
You have a
Let's
great
do me
night.
and Jack Safari.
And stop. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thanks for that too. People don't know this, but Jess told me to email him, and he put me on this email list, and he's sending me all these messages, and he's a little crazy, I think. Thanks, Jess. I sent her a meme that said,
I have a soft
"You did
spot
this."
for old angry men.
Oh my
Okay, I
God.
love
Oh
when
my
they're
God.
older and they're angry and they yell like they like crack me up. So we'll
Well,
see.
you have a good night, and do me a favor and stop yelling at your kids so much, you mean bitch.
I mean, that's what I do. That makes men, right?
That's how you make men. Yeah. Fear of mom. All right, you have a good night. I'll
All right,
talk
you
to
too,
you
homie.
soon.
All right, talk to you later.
Bye-bye. All right, boy, what a great and enjoyable couple of conversations I just had. One of them unscheduled, for those unaware. Jess was not scheduled to be here, and I apologize to Steve Long. I don't think he minds, but we're just going to tack on Jess to the thumbnail and to the description of the video here. An unexpected special extra guest. And we want to be sure that we thank Steve Long, who's always in the live chat, also a big supporter. And many people wanted to hear from Steve Long. We haven't heard from him for a while. And so, boy, what a great show tonight turned out to be. Sometimes you just roll the dice and the dice roll goes in your favor. Tonight was one of those nights. So we want to thank all of you for your kindness, generosity, and support, except for that prick in the live chat saying that I'm a Fed. Dude, go take your meds, nutter. All right. A lot of nutters in this thing. There's nothing you can do. It just, it happens. This thing attracts a lot of nutty people. And I'm sorry if me disagreeing with your alien belief system triggers you so badly that you've got to spend hours sending me messages that are nasty. I'm not reading them, And just to be clear, I try to not block people. But if you're really going to be a pain in the ass, and people should be aware of this, I have a special needs child. And so, and I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you the reality of my situation. You know that saying that you don't really know the things that the challenges people are facing or the things that people are dealing with, so you should be kind. For those unaware, I have a nonverbal autistic son, which means he doesn't speak. He has problems communicating. He has a lot of meltdowns and issues. He needs an awful lot of time and attention and care. And all of my patience, every bit of my patience in my life is reserved for him and my other child who is not affected by autism. But anyway, I don't have the patience for somebody that's going to send me 69 messages in an hour telling me I'm a Fed or I'm a disinformation agent. And maybe you should go bother somebody that doesn't need to reserve all their patience for a nonverbal autistic disabled child, and leave me alone, because I'm not doing anything wrong. You can express your beliefs, whatever they may be. I won't attack you 69 times in an hour or tell people you're a federal agent because I disagree with you. You're free to express your opinion. What's the deal? I'm not allowed to, but I get what it is. And a lot of what it is that people get so caught up in this delusional fantasy world that when they find me and some of the things that I'm saying, even though it's backed up by careful facts, evidence, investigatory work, and, real sources, even though it's factual, they don't like when somebody comes along and just pops that delusion bubble. It angers them. I get that. And if I've angered you by telling you the truth, then I apologize. But I'm going to keep doing it, so get used to it, bitches. All right, so we have done our due diligence. We want to take a moment to thank you, kind and generous benefactors, you Patreon supporters, you YouTube channel members, you Super Chat people, Super Sticker people, and especially you Super Thanks people. Did you know that? You could throw money at us even when we're not online. Just hit that thanks button, throw a couple bucks in our hat to keep us honest and doing this work without selling out. We appreciate all of you and want to thank you for appreciating us. So we have done our due diligence, friends. We've done more. Jess made me work overtime. All you people make me work harder than I should. I was fine with one guest, Jess. You had to go, no, do another hour. But I was happy to do it because Jess is one of my favorite people on UFO Twitter. Make sure that you follow her. I put her Twitter in the live feed. I will in the live chat, and I will be adding it to the description of this video. Jess is very active on Twitter and posts a lot of great and compelling information and takes on different things going on. So if you're curious what's going on with this story or that story, Jess has probably got something on her Twitter about that. And Steve Long as well. I will add Steve Long's Twitter handle as well. I apologize, Steve. I forgot to do that. I'm a terrible show host sometimes, but I'm working on it. I'm getting better. So we thank each and every one of you for joining us. I will be back tomorrow night. We'll do one more. Somebody told me that I'm supposed to do this. And again, speaking of being a terrible show host, somebody that has a huge channel told me, you never promote the next day's show at the end of your show. I do it every night. So they're right. So let me do the right, good show host thing and remind you that tomorrow night we're going to have an interview with Joey Esposito on electric universe theory. What the hell is it? If you're not familiar with it, maybe go watch a couple videos or read a little bit about it before tomorrow night as a sort of a primer. I think you'll be glad you did. It's interesting. It's sort of mind-bending stuff. So tomorrow night we have an expert of sorts on electric universe theory. His name is Joey Esposito. He came and talked on panels, and we got such an overwhelming response. By the way, if you want to be a guest here and I'm not sure, or I'm on the fence, or I have no idea what you're talking about, come and be a panel member. We're going to try to do them once a week going forward, or at least once every 2 weeks going forward. And a panel show is where anybody can join the show, and we try to give everybody a chance to talk about what's on their mind. Panel shows are great for finding new guests, and that's where we found this guy. So Joey Esposito here tomorrow, Electric Universe Theory, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be here with Mr. Esposito, and I hope you'll be here with us. So we'll take a moment to thank the live chat, whether you're chatting in the Rumble chat, the Instagram chat. By the way, I'm incredibly surprised to find out that I think they fixed the Instagram issue, because we are still broadcasting on Instagram live right now. And if you haven't already, you should be aware that I had an ancient Instagram account I never used, but I'm now using it just for Truthseeker Show. It's at Truthseeker, one Truthseeker, and then the word show, but all one word, at Truthseeker Show on Instagram. And you can follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter as well. It's just at Stephen Cambion on Twitter, my name. But you should follow me on Instagram because anything image related going forward, anything related to the show that I take pictures of will be on our Instagram account. So please follow us over there. Also, you can visit our website. It's truthseekershow.com. Again, just one Truth Seeker and then the word show, all one word, truthseekershow.com. And there you can get all our latest audio and video podcast episodes. For those unaware, we broadcast to 8 locations, video live, every live show. And then the very next day, the show gets transformed into audio format just for you people. And many of you prefer the audio podcast format. I'm still trying to figure out if we can figure out how to do that live. But for now, we upload the audio version the very next day. You can find all the latest episodes at truthseekershow.com. I want to thank each and every one of you for all the tremendous support. We've got a lot of new subscribers, and we are inching our way closer to a long-time goal, which is 10,000 subscribers. So please do like, comment, subscribe, and share. Send some videos to some of your friends that are weirdos like you that may appreciate this, and we appreciate you for doing that. So that's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.
We grifters, 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 we grifters. Shape the emerging UAP narrative. Remember those words, folks. Shape the emerging UAP narrative. Remember those words, folks. I'm an intel guy. 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 We grifters, 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 we grifters. Multiple whistleblowers. Luis Elizondo. Multiple whistleblowers. Luis Elizondo. Multiple whistleblowers. Luis Elizondo. Multiple whistleblowers. Luis Elizondo. We grifters, we grifters. Remember those words. We grifters, we grifters. Remember those words. We grifters, we grifters. Say yes. We grifters, we grifters. Say yes.
We grifters, we grifters.
Saying yes.
We grifters, we grifters.
Saying yes. Saying yes.
Luis Elizondo, Luis Elizondo.
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 You walk into this room at your own risk, because it leads to the future. Not a future that will be, but one that might be. This is not a new world. It is simply an extension of what began in the old one. It has patterned itself after every dictator who has ever planted the ripping imprint of a boot on the pages of history since the beginning of time. It has refinements, technological advances, and a more sophisticated approach to the destruction of human freedom. But like every one of the superstates that preceded it, it has one iron rule. Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
I think there would be this big exhale for about a day. And then this turning inward and trying to reflect on what this means to us and our species and ourselves. Somber meaning serious. Somber meaning serious. Somber meaning serious. Somber meaning serious.